Lisa.
Oop.
Liesler.
Yes.
Liesler salad fingers. Oop. I've seen what you're up to. Frank, this is going to be hard for you to hear.
Because he doesn't have ears. He's
but
I've
been
I've
been a peeping Tom
to
Liesler in the future in Canada.
Oh my God.
And you're a lesbian.
And you're blonde.
Wow. That's shocking.
With really you have
I
curly
believe
hair.
it all except the blonde.
So we started watching this show Workin' Moms, and not only is Liesler in it, she's a lesbian. And she has a babby.
A lesbian?
Explain yourself.
She has a babby.
Am I blonde also?
I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's one going to be difficult to explain. Wait, is this like an actual TV show, or if it's like...
Yeah, and you're
I wish we were that creative.
An older you is actually in it, which you're looking pretty good.
Is it like a reality TV show, or it's like a...
It's a scripted Netflix show.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? I saw 5 seconds of the trailer for that.
And I got to say, you're looking pretty good in the future, but unfortunately for your partner, now, who thinks you're heterosexual, you do the transformation ceremony and become a lesbian.
No. I didn't do the transformation ceremony. Frank does the transformation ceremony.
To you. That's why you don't get to. That's why you can't choose to be gay, because somebody else has
Frank
to.
Transitions.
True love has to transform you through the transformation.
I transformed because Frank transforms. So I must transform.
Okay.
Frank becomes a chick.
I turn into a woman.
No one knows what we're talking about right now.
So we're all gay frogs? Is that what's happening?
We're all gay frogs.
Audience,
Thank you, Alex
Audience,
Jones.
please bear with us as we get through this intellectual difficulty. Your normal show will resume momentarily.
All right. Welcome to another installment of Two Guns, No Ammunition. We're super glad to have you here. I'm Billy Two Guns, and we are No Ammunition. We're going to do a quick mic identifier. I'll get us started. Hello. I'm Bill, and I have long curly hair, and I'm coming for your top spot as best curly hair on the show. Liesler.
I'm Genevieve, and I maintain that I have the best hair on the show.
It's not curly, though.
It doesn't matter. It's still the best of all hair.
Wow. All right. I'm Lisa. I currently have best curly hair on the show.
I'm Frank. I'm going away from the hair aspect. I'm going to say I have $50 on the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Texans today. So they all have to win. I might be partially
the Devils
paying attention to that.
Are we saying he is the devil? Sorry.
I'm Jake, and what is this best curly hair bullshit going on? All right.
Yeah, I know.
Y'all don't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even try today.
We didn't consider we thought maybe you just didn't care, you were above
y'all
it all.
are competing for second place. All right. Just putting that out there.
What you say is true, but we need to have our fun.
Yeah, well, fuck your fun.
God damn.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So if you're regular listeners to this program, you'll remember. You're not. Definitely not. You'll remember how I've said before that I'll look at things on Netflix and be like, that looks dumb as fuck. Because I don't know who they're advertising to, but it's not me. But then I watch and I'm like, oh, this actually isn't bad. Another example, Workin' Moms, which turned out to be Canadian. The Canadians have some pretty good...
So it's pronounced working moms?
No, it's working mams.
Mams?
It's about tits who have jobs.
Yeah. Okay.
Memories.
Yeah. Memories. Mams.
It's another Canadian show. It's pretty good. Definitely a little different in its whatever. Oh my God, losing my train of thought. There's a scene where one of the moms is like, I don't know,
drinking maple syrup.
Yeah, I think she's in the second trimester.
On her snowshoes.
She's like, I don't want this baby anymore. I don't want this second baby. So she and her friend just take a drive down to the abortion clinic, and they're like, I'm going to see if I like it. And then they get to
see if you like what?
The idea of getting an abortion.
See how much
and then she's like,
this.
I'm not really feeling it. So they leave. Once they get back and see the doctor, they're like, nah, can't do it. Well, then she goes home and has an argument with her husband, who's like, well, you can do whatever you want. I just wish you'd talk to me. And then they go together and get the abortion. And at no point was anybody like, I wonder if I have health insurance to cover this. Is this going to be expensive? There's like,
It's Canada.
So that was definitely different. And sometimes they do have a little bit of an accent. And, there's no cowboy shooting in the air in any of the scenes, which is pretty fucking frustrating. But it's like
really weird.
Yeah.
That just happens day to day around here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If you thought that I was like, if you thought Working Moms was for anybody who's a mom, as I did,
You're
you
probably
yes and
right.
no.
Right, but somehow I really enjoyed it. It's like it's got the got the wife, Dennis's wife, who
Maureen
becomes a cat.
Ponderosa
That actress
from
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Don't you watch it?
I've seen it.
Have you guys seen it?
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Maureen
she's like
Ponderosa.
she's like the star of this show. And I got to say, there's a diverse set of characters. They're fun. So it's basically like this lesbian lady, she has a baby with her wife, and then they go through a hard time.
Liesler.
Your life is pretty engaging. But she's got this sort of like fun attitude, but she deals with depression and I don't know. And then there's like the really attractive mom, married to the cheap knockoff Chris Pratt. And then she's like, I hate my kid and hate being a mom. So they have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then there's
So he's basically a dad in the world of moms.
yeah, there's the redhead psychiatrist.
Who's an expert on guns?
Oh my God. There's the redhead psychiatrist who can help other people with their problems but can't seem to get along with her own daughter, and the dad's super supportive. And then there's Maureen Ponderosa, who
she goes by a different name for some reason.
she's like a workaholic, and they have to deal with that. And the husband, like, he's like, you're never around with your baby, and she's like, I love my work. I need to get back to work. They're
I
like,
can see her saying it like that too.
This is Canada. You have 19 months paternity leave as a mom.
19 months?
Paternity leave?
Whatever. Yeah,
That's a
it's
really
in their
arbitrary large
constitution.
I think you do get like 12.
It's in their constitution.
So a year.
So yeah, I think you get a year.
So it's actually really engaging all around. And I will say this: there are two major, three. Funny show. I really like it. Maureen's dialogue and her delivery of like funny remarks is stupendous. She has a lot of really good lines, and she delivers them really well. But it's something about the way they shoot the scene that deflates the whole moment. So you know how when you're watching, what is it? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When somebody's saying something like wild or funny or whatever, the camera's right on them. They're mic'd up well. There's not other action going on over here to distract you. And you're like, oh shit, that's a good line. My focus was totally on it. With her, it's like she's like in the corner of the camera shot, sort of set back, and she's like, and somebody speaks.
Really common in Canadian TV shows.
It's so bizarre.
I kind of like it though. It's sort of a subtle, like you have to be paying attention to catch it.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not used to it, but it really struck me as bizarre. I'm like, I wish they made her dialogue more noticeable, because it'll be like somebody just, I have to go pick up our son, and she's saying a killer one-liner in the corner.
She's the star of the show. We'll just put her in the corner.
Yeah. The last thing to remark is at some point they find a gun. And, so some girl's boyfriend has a gun, and she's worried.
And she's a patient.
She's a patient of the redhead psychiatrist. And she's worried her boyfriend's going to muck duck her. So she steals his gun. She steals his pistol. It brings it into her psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist is like, I'll take that for you. So she takes it and then takes it home instead of doing anything else.
Oh, before she takes it home, though, the boyfriend shows up at the office.
Yeah.
Knowing that his girlfriend took the gun and it's here at the office.
And he gets
yeah.
mad.
He starts threatening the receptionist lady.
as every other male on Netflix does. And she whips out her fucking piece and she's like,
Well-
I will John Wick you in your dick if you don't get the fuck out of here.
She might as well have said that too.
You're gonna get that wick dick.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll leave and you can keep my gun.
She held his gun up to him
I'm going to shoot you with your gun.
in public.
Additionally, she's like, this will be self-defense because you're grouchy.
Yeah.
Where does she think
Like,
she is?
not
America?
Yeah, like he was screaming at someone in an establishment. So
That's an episode of Florida Man right there.
Yeah.
Not Canada.
Yeah.
So she takes it home and she hides it where? In a goddamn
the air vent.
air vent. She hides it in an air vent
Oh,
behind
boy.
some screws, screw it in, hide it there. Well, it turns out she takes it in and out of there to go shooting.
At a
And
range.
she feels like she has a really big wiener, or I don't know, whatever the equivalent
She
is.
just
for
goes
Ginormous
shooting
clip.
at a range with this gun that she stole.
Yup.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
Don't they
the boyfriend
ask for your
the
license
boyfriend
and stuff?
stole her gun. The boyfriend stole this guy's gun, and they're like,
No.
surely he's in illegal possession of the gun. But now she has a gun, which she illegally possesses, and then takes it to a shooting range. And apparently everybody shooting range is like, yeah, this is totally normal. Like, our gun's illegal there or not. Don't fucking know what's going on.
There are no laws. That's what's happening.
So
You can own firearms in Canada. They're just way more strict about certain things.
Apparently not.
Certain things.
So she keeps hiding it in this air vent, and then the parents are having an argument, and then the daughters are trying to listen to the air vents to the conversation. So there's this other family, and these two daughters been hanging out from two different families, and each family's like, your daughter's corrupting my daughter, and then they're listening, the friends, to the argument between the parents, and they open the air vent and they find the gun. And then they're like, we're going to fucking finger blast this thing.
They're like
and then they
13-ish?
John Wick the ceiling. You hear kaboom.
boy.
Oh, God. So the parents run downstairs and then they yell at each other and they yell at the kids. And the mom takes the gun.
Where does she take it to?
She takes it to a towel, which she wraps it in, and then puts it in her nightstand because that's a more secure place than in that air vent.
Well,
And then the little girl turns it into the police.
Yeah.
The police are like, you got a really smart
But-
girl. She found this gun on the street and turned it into us. She
The
didn't
whole
call us,
episode,
tell us to
though?
go pick it up. She picked up a gun.
Jesus
But
Christ.
they spend the whole episode like they realize the girl's gone. The parents realize their daughter's gone and the gun is also gone. So they're like running around and thinking, of course, the worst thing. They're like, oh my God, she's actually a bad kid. She's out there committing crimes and like freaking out. And then they finally get to an officer who I think called it in, and that's how they found her. But he was just like, yeah, I need to talk to you guys. Your daughter's a really nice little girl. Like she found this gun and gave it to the police.
Found it on the street.
I thought you
Yeah.
said this was a good TV show.
Excepting this one episode.
It sounds like a very convoluted TV
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
This was one episode where they're like, well, we're Canadian and we don't know how to interact with guns. So let's make a very dramatic episode about this. I was like, this is basically Canadian Hollywood. You see how guns are used in Hollywood movies. People are just like pointing them everywhere, lasering each other. Like, this is cool. This is safe. Let's toss it back and forth. Welcome to America. You want a Big Mac? Comes with a Glock. Like,
So is it safer to juggle the guns with or without the bullets in it?
gotta keep the bullets
It's a
in.
balance.
Yeah,
You gotta balance it.
You gotta balance it out with the weight
Yeah.
of the bullets.
But the rest of the
When
show,
you're juggling rifles.
the rest of the show is, it's actually engaging if you're interested in like character development. Frank, you wouldn't like it, but I liked it. You'd probably like it, Leisler.
Because you're in it.
It sounds like it's about me. So
Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah.
What was the one thing? Shit, I don't remember. It was just, it's a good show. I really enjoyed it. There's 2 seasons out, plowed through it. It's shot a little different. There's Canadian boobies in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, including Lisa's.
Oh, wow.
So if you're wondering what kind of value you'd get with Lisa's Gamer Girl bathwater, you can see her future older lady boobies matures and buy her
Mature
bathwater
memories?
now. Get it on the ground floor.
Matt Mams.
What, Lisa? What's it like being so liberated in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I know myself already.
Just so comfortable in your own body.
Can
Yeah.
somebody explain to me exactly how lesbian women do it?
Scissor me timbers.
Is that a real thing that people
No.
do? Okay.
Scissor me timbers? No.
Okay. Do they just?
I can't imagine.
You know-
That would just be so much work for nothing.
Arrgh.
What do you do?
I mean, you have to wear the eye patch if you do it, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
The eye patch is the key
It's essential.
Yeah.
to lovemaking
Well,
between women.
I guess we can table that for.
If you have death
fair.
perception, it's not going to work.
I mean, if you ask me in however many years in the future that was, I can let you know.
I would say it was like 20 years
Okay.
or 30 years, but you're looking pretty good. So it could. I don't
Just
know.
set a reminder
Yeah.
and then ask me then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it in my calendar.
Yeah.
Oh man. But
Oh, you're also a kick-ass real estate agent,
Oh, yeah.
and you post pictures of yourself laying across a pile of money
So
all
pharmacy
over
school
the
didn't
place
work
as
out.
advertisement.
R.I.P.
Excellent.
dog, you pull
So yeah,
so much
pharmacy school, yeah.
top grade lesbian tale. It's unreal.
They're all kind of weirdos, but yeah.
You're fucking a 20-year-old. You're fucking a 47-year-old with a crazy deep voice. She's in
Dang.
another show.
Yeah,
Future
she's
Lisa.
in
So
Law and
I have a
Order.
question.
What?
The actress who plays Maureen Ponderosa
Mhm.
Yeah.
and also Maureen Ponderosa in
Yeah.
the show, as you described her, is she Canadian?
Yeah.
A.
In
think so.
real life?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. I think it sneaks in every once in a while. You're like, that is a native usage of
A.
sorry.
Sorry.
God, I wish I could have thought another Canadian word. Sorry, so tired. So
I mean,
tired.
it's-
Tomorrow.
It
I mean,
really
it-
comes out sometimes. You're watching it, just totally not even thinking about it's
Yep.
a Canadian show, and then all of a sudden, whoa,
The
Yeah.
word
right?
apologizing is literally put into the Canadian legal system to not be an admission of guilt
Really?
because it's part of a part of their culture.
Oh, so if she'd killed him in self-defense, she goes, sorry, sorry, sorry.
Well, it doesn't mean she couldn't still be found guilty, but the fact that she said sorry would
That's
could
what
not be
their
used
guns
against
actually
her.
sound like.
Yeah, that's the report of Canadian firearms.
Sorry.
Yep. When someone dies of a gunshot wound, the doctor goes to the family, says sorry, and then goes back to work. Just goes right back to work.
Well, the way they treat it, because they're unfamiliar, they stick their fingers in. Sorry. They try to push the bullet out the other side.
100% accurate. Ask any Canadian;
Oh
they
my
will
god!
corroborate.
But it ended up being it was a really good show. Genevieve, could you talk? My mind has blanked now that I made fun of that one episode. But you've watched several episodes with me. What's
Yeah, I haven't
appealing
seen
about
all of it.
It's- There's definitely is there female humor? It feels like it's not written by guys who are like, this is how women interact.
Right. I guess they go into a lot of content about being a mom that I never would think about, but they also talk like the way women, girls naturally talk.
Yeah, women, girls.
Women, girls. Not man, boys.
Is it like hanging out with your roly-doby friends?
Yeah, a little bit. So, like a real life conversation instead of, like you said, like what would be, I guess, censored or
Clearly
otherwise.
scripted
Yeah,
by men.
but men.
So,
There's a part, I love it, where Maureen Ponderosa and the psychologist lady are talking about Maureen sleeping around, and the redhead's husband comes up and is like, hey honey, and they're like, we gotta go or whatever it is, and she's like, get away, we're talking about dick. Like, oh
I mean, I have to shout that many times a day at work.
yeah.
you are a professional, so I'm sure it's good. But
Professional dick muncher.
Oh nom 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 nom
I
nom.
don't
See,
want to.
and that's funny that you mentioned that because you guys ever see The League?
Yeah.
Love that show. That show is basically the male version of that, except instead of talking like guys actually talk, they talk like the way guys wish they could talk to each other.
Oh.
Because they're all they're all comedians.
They're all so on point.
Yeah, they're
all the
all
time.
way funnier than anybody normally is. So like that is the best line of my day right now. That Jake is a professional dick muncher. That's peak Frank. That's all
It's
I'm
true.
ever gonna get.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, when you watch that show, the burns that they have for each other, they are so perfect every single time.
This is the first show that I found where they actually write. They do a really good job of writing a female character as one of the guys. Like, she's in a corporate setting, and it's funny because the boss is like, if this is coming across as sexual harassment, I will. He like asks for a hug, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a hug." He's like, "I hope this isn't inappropriate." So they're like aware of it, but they bust each other's chops, and she really gets in on it. But it's the first time that they've written, that I can remember, in a show where they've written a female character who can shoot the shit with the guys, and it's not over the top. She's not excessively mean or like.
It's not even really addressed like that. It's just natural.
If you've seen The League, Jenny, Kevin's wife, is
Jenny.
like that. Yeah, I think that's her name.
Like me. Now he's smart.
Yeah, I think she's like that because it's The League is a bunch of guys, and then they let her in like the third season, and I thought they always wrote her very well, and I like it's funny because she secretly runs her husband's team.
Isn't she like way smarter than her husband?
Yeah, who's a district attorney.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things where like, so I watched The League for like the first 4 or 5 seasons, and I couldn't get into the most recent one. I might start all over again, but
this show has been over for like several years now, but it is on Hulu.
Right, so I might start it again, but it's like, I sort of felt like The League fell into that trap where they're like, husband dumb, woman smart, wife hot and smart for husband. Like all comedies from the 90s where the husband's like this drooling, bumbling idiot. And I really got that vibe from that show with that character.
Yeah, they start off that way. They pivot kind of.
Okay.
So they make her fat, right?
No. They
she
make her
drowns and loses brain cells.
Yeah, they make her good at fantasy football and him bad at fantasy football, but I mean, they're all kind of, everyone is the butt of some joke. They also make the guy who's a doctor, a really rich, successful plastic surgeon seem like a moron 24/7. So you kind of gotta roll with that one too.
Yeah. I will say this. I like the show. What do you rate it, G-Vive?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with 9 memories out of 10.
Wow.
Now, do those memories secrete maple syrup instead of milk since this is Canadian?
It's a mixture. It depends. Like, it's actually evolves into maple syrup, so it starts as milk, and then later
to meet the needs of the child.
during lactation, as the baby's growing, it becomes maple syrup.
Makes sense.
Well, they lactate until the kids are like 10, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's
why they're
works.
all so good at hockey up there.
Yeah.
The vitamins and the antibodies.
All that breast syrup.
I mean, they're born out of a hole in the ice with a hockey stick. So.
Okay, so this show...
they're born out of ice fishing.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a mom deals with lactating, right? So they sometimes like, I stuck to my shirt, and it's ha ha ha.
Which is how,
and we see a lot of Canadian boobs, but we never see any milky Canadian boobs. I just realized that. But what we do see... What we do see...
You do see milky Canadian
Listen,
boobs. Okay.
Please.
All right.
What we do see is somebody's face as they're interacting with milky Canadian boobs.
Oh,
and we hear, and then milk shoots into their face several times in this show.
Oh, my God.
And it's like... it sounds like somebody's cracking a beer can, and then somebody... sprays them with a bottle of milk. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
It's
okay.
It's pretty well. One guy's like, "I want to suck your mama titties."
Yeah.
Say it like that, but that was the
okay, yeah.
And then the other one pierces her nip, and it goes,
Pierces?
Yeah, she's like, "I'm having a situation because I don't want to be a mom and I want to be sexy again." And
Or like a water balloon just...
yeah,
pretty much, yeah.
All over,
but all through the nipple.
You did it. You pierced it.
Oh,
yeah, because you're like sick titties.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyhow, I enjoyed it.
I can just see Lisa like standing outside a shop going, "Sick titties."
I was watching it
pierced.
while I was playing Zombie Minecraft, aka 7 Days to Die, and
That's how it's video game
perfect
related.
for that. You enjoyed it too, GV. From
Yep.
and then we moved on to The Walking Dead, which is now on Netflix.
Very different tone.
Makes
Is it over?
no, unfortunately no.
Wait,
What
really?
season are they on? 25?
I thought they were done.
10. Maybe it is. Maybe. Well, there's 9 on Netflix. I don't think it's completely done, but I've been watching that while playing zombie Minecraft, which can make it exciting because all the zombie noises, I don't know if they're actually there. But I got to tell you, that show is way better when you don't have to wait week to week.
Yeah.
And you can just power through the bullshit. You're like, all right, there's a new episode coming up in 20 minutes. Because it gets real goofy, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I only saw the first 4 seasons.
oh my God. Carl's
It was like not bad in the beginning.
Season 1 was
And then
good.
it
2 was boring.
really gets
3 was good.
Really goes bad.
4 was okay.
Like it's
And then I fell
I
off.
like the part with the zombie in it.
Wow.
You know that one scene?
the one.
This
that
is
one.
You know that
my farm.
Oh my god.
I'm not leaving my
Herschel.
farm.
Herschel.
You got to leave the farm. Okay, Rick.
Yeah.
It's just...
Now that we're being attacked by 1 gazillion Zambos.
Yeah, it might be
And
time to give up.
Even our aimbot is not enough.
yeah.
Perpetual endless headshots without aiming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Auto headshot right
Yeah, he
there.
was shooting a shotgun from like the hip.
Yeah.
My favorite-
Never reloading it.
Yeah.
My favorite part was that when he was shooting that shotgun in that scene, he's like pulling the trigger.
This
and,
is the season finale of season 2, by the way.
and working the action, and there's like flame shooting out from the blank, and none of them are like coordinated. So he's just like like and then
Things are happening that should not be happening.
and then like the flames are going off when the chamber's over. It looks so ridiculous, and he's just switching left, right, and there's zombies all around him, and they're like, just do whatever you gotta do to make this look cool.
Oh boy.
That's the thing. To most people watching, it does just look cool.
Yeah.
It's easily the best part of that season,
Mhm.
probably. Maybe the part when the barn gets open and all those zombies come
Ooh,
out.
that's a good part.
That was pretty fun, especially
Yeah.
because of who the last one was.
Yeah.
And all that. But yeah, I fell off after
Ted Bundy.
Yeah. That was the big twist. Not only is he still alive,
Spoiler
and not in
alert.
prison,
Yeah.
he is a Zambo in my barn.
In the middle of a
They
Spoilers.
never suspected that
Somewhere
How do you
Georgia.
think that? I mean, look,
Spoilers circa 2009 or whatever.
this is how they filmed the Ted Bundy tapes.
Okay, so again, I have seen less than half of that show.
Well, you don't have the Netflix, or else I'd tell you.
I got rid of it.
I-
I'll come back someday.
I would tell you to just throw it on while you're playing 7 derps to derp. But it's like this. It's like Battlestar Galactica, right? Battlestar Galactica, the remake, the newest one, is
So this is a remake of a remake.
well, the original Battlestar Galactica with the Cylons came out in like the 80s, right?
I don't know.
Well, there was one that was they remade it in I think the early 2000s with Starbuck and
Which was the one that Dwight was obsessed with in The Office?
the
Probably the
newest
newer
one.
one.
And it was really good. But during like season 7 or 8, they sort of take it down a different path. And I was watching it live, like as it was released weekly with my dad, and we're both like, what the fuck is going on here? So we stopped. I went back years later. I powered through the whole thing, and it was a maze. Just like with Lost. Like when you're waiting the week to week, it can really break your heart when an episode is not strong or a series of them. But you're watching it when you're powering through it in a binge on Netflix, it makes it so much easier. So these characters that I hate, like Carl's mom, who's like, I don't want my baby to learn to shoot a gun. What kind of world
She's-
are we living in?
She is actually the worst.
You
She's
know
the worst.
exactly what world you're living in, bitch.
The fucking zombos.
We need every able-bodied person with a gun in their hands.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so they're not going to be around for long. Everybody fucking dies, except I
Except the
guess
zombies.
Rick. Oh yeah, and you know the whole thing where you're like, these guys are so dumb because they don't do X, Y, and Z. Like, why don't they do earthworks to funnel them into narrow channels and then stab them with pikes in the head that are 12 feet long? Like, you don't have to worry about that because you're like, oh, new story as soon as I'm done this one. But
True.
You don't have time to think about all the reasonable things.
it seems like we're finally done with zombos and vampire, like sparkly, well, vampires. Remember that was the thing for a while?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like supernatural things.
These things are all cyclical, right?
Yeah. But what do you have anything that you recall recently that was like the best version of those genres in the reawakening? Because off the top of my head, I will say one of my favorite retellings of the zombie trope, which is almost inherently very boring for me, because it's like they never address how, like, if the zombies aren't sprinting at you, they're trivially easy to kill once you get like a period of time where you're secure in a location, and then you can be like, all right, let's build earthworks, let's fill these fucking things up and funnel them in or whatever. If they can run, then it just takes a little longer, I guess. And then the best one I've seen that I thought that had the best newest idea was The Last of Us, where they're like, these aren't really zombies, these are people with like giant mushroom funguses in their head, and they can detect you and you can kill them. I just thought that it was the newest interpretation, the newest and most unique interpretation of a very old story idea of zombos, and I really enjoyed it. If all those years of boring zombie shit was worth anything, The Last of Us made it worth it, I think.
Having never played Last of Us, how is that? The way you described it doesn't fully explain how it's different than most zombies. Like, what is it about the fungus brain thing that makes those zombies different than every other?
So they're not like undead, and they don't follow like the zombie rules. They're these like corrupted living beings who, so they still have, I don't think they're quite as limited in their intellectual abilities, and they can communicate and they can do ladders well and they can run faster. It just, a lot of it, they're like smarter. They're just infected people, and I don't think that you get turned into one by getting bit. So the thing isn't, you're not worried about getting bit. You're worried about being brutally murdered by this fucked up person.
Okay.
Right? So it's a little bit of a different take. But the game itself is also stupendous. They're coming out with The Last of Us 2, I think February 2020.
Trailers look incredible. I'd like to point out that I am occasionally playing through the first one for the first time. So now that I have a PS4, because it's a PlayStation exclusive for those who do not know. And it is, I have the PS4. So it was originally a PS3 game that came out a long time ago. I want to say like 2012, 2011, 2010 even maybe. I don't remember the exact year. We could probably look that up. But it's an older game. There is an enhanced version for the PS4. It is worth it. It is also a very difficult game. It's not easy.
It's like, you would really like it, Genevieve, because it's like very stealth and Arkham Asylum, Arkham series style combat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As soon as you said stealth, though, that.
What?
You can't, like, I tried. I was like, in most stealth games, I'm like, damn, whatever. I'll just fucking run through and kill everything anyway.
Right.
Why not? Yeah, you can't do that. You get swarmed and you get wrecked immediately.
Yeah, I think I would like it. It would be fun, but it would be very frustrating at the same time.
It is very frustrating.
One of my favorite parts in that game, and I watched two best friends play through it. There's like this big meathead who gets fungified, and if you fuck up, he comes and he takes his big hands and he sticks them in your mouth, and he kills you by pulling your mouth too far open. He
King Kongs you.
Saws you?
Yeah.
Oh
Reverse
It's
bear
amazing.
trap that shit.
Oops.
Ooh.
It's got that brutality that the new Tomb Raiders did, and I really enjoyed it.
Also great games, which I'm playing through right now because they are free on Game Pass.
I mean, if you meant to pose the question, what do we think is the sort of best zombie iteration? Is that what I took before?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily. I have not played or seen enough of that subgenre of horror to really weigh in, I guess. But the first thing that came to my mind were movies in the vein of Zombieland.
Oh yeah.
Which was just so much fun, but
And
also
they're making a second.
legitimately like scary and true to all the zombie tropes. And like, I mean, it was silly, it was funny, but it was also brutal.
Yeah.
And legitimately like tense at times. So, I mean, it's kind of permeated everything lately, right? over the last decade or more. Shows, games. I mean, zombie mode and COD was sort of a meme unto itself.
Wasn't that? Never mind.
Nazi zombies.
Nazi
Started
zombies.
with World at War, and then the most popular one was the Black Ops, the first Black Ops one.
Yeah.
My roommate got. I had a new roommate move in, and he likes to play COD Zombies, Call of Duty. There's essentially zombie mode in Star Wars Battlefront, but instead of zombies, you're murdering stormtroopers. So it's pretty hype.
So it's stormtroopers acting like zombies?
No, it's just stormtroopers.
Well, that's more just like a horde mode or in general,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, 7 Days to Die, just to pimp that again, is, I mean, for as lo-fi as aspects of it are for being a game of perpetual alpha, you know, Bill, and you've seen enough too, Genevieve, like,
Dude,
they'll fuck you. And it gets legitimately tense.
I have died. I've gotten the achievement for dying over 100 times.
Ow!
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It often it'll be like I sneak into a room and I don't see any zombies, and then I turn around and there's a bunch, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to pull out my shotgun. I start blasting them, and then I don't reload fast enough, and a bird hits me and I die. Like, I got killed the other day by a bird because I turned my graphics all the way up, and my frame rate dropped, and I could not hit the bird with my shotgun. Apparently, I was just shooting.
Is it
all
a
around.
zombie bird?
Yes.
It's a zomburb.
I hate it
zombie
so
zombie
much.
vultures.
Zomburb.
And like
There are zombie bears, zombie dogs.
and
Damn.
I typically
Zombear.
when I die, it's typically
Zombo Ramir.
the afternoon before the horde night. So as I'm running out there with no armor or weapons because it was all in my backpack, I get it. It turns 10 o'clock on horde night, and I get run down. So it's been pretty rough.
it's just you have it set so you drop everything when you die.
Yeah.
Oh well, I only dropped the tool belt. Everything in your inventory you keep.
Yeah, I just did a default. But that's been a lot of fun.
Can you go into more detail about what a horde night is?
Oh, every 7 nights the game's like, we're gonna send some zombos to fuck your shit up no matter where you are. The game just decides it knows where you are, and a bunch of zombies appear between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Now, during that time, during a typical night, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., the zombies can then run. Regular zombies can run.
They can't during the day.
They cannot. They hobble. Well,
There are special ones that can, but for the most part,
yeah, that has been an unpleasant surprise. Also, I encountered my first radioactive zombies in person in a building, and they take like 10 hits with my sledgehammer to die.
yeah, aim for the head.
I'm one-shotting regular Zambos with this thing, and they're like, psych, now you're bleeding.
Now you're stunned.
And I'm dead for the 101st time. So every
stim packs.
every 7 nights, instead of just keep away from the other zombies who can now run, the game's like, we're going to have all these zombies appear near you, and they're coming for you, dog.
They come in waves from different directions,
Yeah.
and the higher your day count is, each however many 7s you've gone through, the more there are, and the stronger they are.
Does it max out?
What's that?
Does it max out?
No.
They just generate right next to you.
I mean, I've seen videos online of servers that hit day 700,
Oh boy.
day 1400. Artificial conditions generated for day 7000 hordes, which he had to use console commands to end
Oh my God.
because they wouldn't end.
Jesus Christ.
There are these there are some special zombies, and the one is called a screamer, and it kind of looks like the girl from
This bitch.
The Ring?
like
The Ring.
from the Ring, white dress, short black hair, and if she sees you, she howls, and more zombies come. Well, they show up on horde nights. They know where you are. They scream, and as part of their scream, they can call in additional screamers. So if you don't manage them, you can.
You just constantly
They
have an
just-
alarm system going off.
They just stack, and yeah.
Dude, you were
Exponential.
telling me about these screamers. You're like, oh, yeah, she probably screamed. You would definitely hear it.
Well, it could get lost depending on how far away she is, and
Well, I finally heard one scream, And I was like, what the fuck is that? And of course, it wasn't until the 6th screamer. So I was just like, oh, I killed it. I didn't hear it scream. I'll be fine. Nope. The whole construction crew shows up. 12 of them zombos. This game, like, I get ruined by these goddamn screamers.
Yep.
And it never ends. And then they call in another one.
You need to. I mean, if she's walking directly towards you and it's clear she has seen you, assume she's already screamed.
Yeah.
Pop her head off and put your head on a swivel for the next like 2 minutes because she could have.
Yeah, that's what I do now. I just go kill her and then I wait for her friends to show up.
And if you're in like a densely populated area or like out in the woods, like you won't be able to see them all. They could be coming around a building or hiding behind trees or whatever, just coming towards you, and they're just not in your immediate line of sight. But I guarantee you, they know where you are. They know where that bitch screamed, and they're coming. Yeah. So
And there's some very interesting zombies from what I've seen from you guys, like the big old fat huge men people.
Ugh.
yeah, there's fat tourists. There's
And
big fat
sexy
ladies.
nurses.
There's sexy nurses. There are gigantic. Every police officer is gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Wears an old-timey hat and pukes acidic puke. As a projectile. And, by the way, can explode and puke and destroy structures.
That's all of the jelly from the jelly donuts.
Yes.
That is coming back. They actually store it over the course of their life.
It has fermented. And
Yes.
now
okay,
it's
okay.
bloating them. And, there's lumberjacks. They're not okay.
I love the lumberjacks.
They're pretty funny. There's the gigantic biker dudes with the motorcycle helmets, and they're like 9 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And they take like 14 headshots.
I haven't seen this yet. Isn't there
Yeah,
like,
those are some high quality motorcycle helmets.
Yeah,
aren't there like football players
there
or
are
something?
soldiers. There are football players.
There we go.
The football players can always run
Catchphrase.
because they're always. I guess they were zombified mid-game, so they're like, that's where their brain is at.
Yeah. Dude, I ran into some military bros who were also 8 feet tall, and they were coming at me. I was like, I'm going to sledgehammer this bitch. And I hit him, and it goes, punk, like off his helmet. And the zombie was like, that didn't even hurt. I have a helmet on. I was like, oh,
That's how helmets work.
oh no. And now it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm turning around in circles, and I'm popping on with my shotgun. I run out of ammo, I pull out a weapon, I cut him, and it's like, I just got to hit this zombie one more time. And I don't, and I die.
I want you to talk about the construction crew that showed up.
We were playing, it was a screamer. And like, they had all come in, but I just hid upstairs. And I waited till the sprint time ended. I waited till it was after 4 a.m. and I did my own thing.
And this is in your church hideout.
I was hiding in my church that I've turned into a base. And I go downstairs to inspect it. And I'm like, oh, there's nobody here. So I'm like chopping up wood. And then I turn around. Turns out I was wrong. There were a lot of zombos outside, and I just hadn't seen them. So they bust their way in. They bust their way in through my wooden wall, and they're all the construction crew. It's like 8 guys, all wearing construction hats, high visibility vests. And they're like,
They're all doing the same thing in sync.
yeah, and these are the guys. They don't just like stumble towards you. They do this like shoulder roll.
It's like a dance move.
It's like
So there's all 8 of
it's
them.
like Thriller.
Yeah, it looked like Thriller.
So a
They're
boy
all
band
coming-
showed
oh
up.
my God. It was.
The construction crew, new boy band.
It was pretty cool. I did murder them. I got away with that one, but
They're just like following each other right behind. Like it's a line of all construction crew workers doing the exact same thing as
Beautiful.
you're trying to kill them. Like, no, stop.
My first, not on my current save, but the one before that I wound up nuking. But my first couple of horde nights, I made a point to do something very similar. I was in like a shack that I had begun to fortify, and I made it so that there was one ladder to get up to me with a basically a vault door at the top of it that they would have to punch through, and that was a vertical bottleneck essentially, right? So I could just, and I had one torch in the whole building, and I was on the way opposite end of it, so I was completely in shadow. So they did get in, and they were punching up like the first floor, but they couldn't actually see or find me directly. And the few who tried to climb the ladder, they would just bottleneck, and I would just bow and arrow them silently, right, just to kind of knock them off. And so finally, when 4 a.m. hit, they all slowed down, and then I went down and cleaned them all up. But you definitely, if you didn't learn this lesson already, is you need to, if you play the stealth game, or really if you don't, any horde night especially, like 4 a.m. hits, Like, you need to clear your grounds. You need to do a patrol and mop up the stragglers, because otherwise they could fuck you when you don't realize they're even there.
So they don't like walk off or anything. They stick around until you deal with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like auto sensing you, I think, turns off also. But they could still be lurking around, and then they're attracted to noise, and they're attracted to flickering lights, so candles and torches and stuff, and like your forge if it's running. That all draws them in. Even if they're inside, they can still just magically know that there's a fire burning over there.
Yeah.
So that'll draw them in. And in the woodland biome, which is where the screamers mainly populate, and also where I have posted up, and where that church you're staying in is.
Next playthrough, not gonna post up in the woodland biome.
The woodland biome is fine. It's just that if you have forges running constantly or torches running constantly, screamers in particular will spawn. Up to like at this point in my game. Now as I described last time I talked about this game, I'm in a fortress, right? And I can just kind of let them die to the spikes. And even if they punch through the outer wall, they have several inner walls and waves of spikes to get through. Or if I'm doing something outside the walls and I want some backup, I'll just turn on. I have a battery of turrets. I'll just turn that fucker on, and then I'll hear the guns going off, and I'll just turn around. Oh, there's a zombie over there. Oh, the turret took care of it. Okay, look around real quick. There's no one else. Back to work. You know what I mean? So I have a pretty good setup, and I also have easier settings than you have by playing on default. The zombie difficulty is the same, but I don't drop my backpack. I level up faster. You can tailor the game however the fuck you want, and I chose to kind of
tailor it
to be a little less brutal. I can still get fucked if I don't pay attention and I'm out in the world, but I'm at such a high level at this point that I'm pretty tough to begin with, and I'm just running around John Wicking these motherfuckers. They're when you hit a high enough level, but depending on how you spec, all those problems you're having just go away. Like, I should not have as easy of a time dealing with some of those upper tier zombies, except if I go for headshots, half of my hits will decapitate them and kill them immediately.
Yeah.
So it's a coin flip. So I can just pop. Oh, this one didn't die right away. Pop. You know what I mean? It gets far easier depending on how you do it. But I'm rapidly approaching max level.
It's just 300.
I don't know exactly, but however many perks in the game there are.
Oh, so you can max out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess to wrap up our Zombo section, there was a movie that came out starring Brad Armpit, and it was World War Z.
Yeah, a quote-unquote adaptation of a much better book.
I don't know about the movie because I didn't watch it because it wasn't going to stick to the book. The book is dope.
The book is a great book.
The way it's written by Chuck Palahniuk, Chunk, Fight Club guy.
Wait, I thought it was written by some guy named Max.
Oh, maybe
Wait, it's not Chunk from the Goonies?
No, it's written by some guy. I can't remember his name. But his name is definitely Max something.
I must be mixing it up with.
I don't know why I remember that.
Who did he write a zombie survival guide? Maybe that I'm mixing it up with, which was boring. And then
Max Brooks.
Yeah, I read Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk, and that was really good. Okay, so anyway, Max Brooks wrote it, and it's basically interviews with people after the zombie apocalypse has been resolved.
That's World War Z.
That's World War Z, and it's really, really good. So.
Yes, I really enjoyed the book. The movie, I thought was actually pretty good. Not great, pretty good. Favorite part of it starts out in Philly.
Oh,
yeah.
I finally remember that.
I remember it because, like, anytime you're in a city, right, and, like, they're on ground level and you see Brad Pitt in traffic, right, with his family, and you look and you just assume that it's New York or maybe L.A.
Yeah.
But you would be able to tell if it's L.A. because the weather's perfect and it's sunny and, it's L.A. But you assume that it's New York, and then they zoom out, and I'm like, that does not look like New York skyline. That looks like Philly skyline. And they zoom out a little bit more. I'm like, oh my God, he's in Philly. Yeah, he is in Philly.
And then his character says, "We're in war-torn Syria."
What?
Because LA was I was saying they make fun of us for being Philadelphia is like a dirty war-torn zone.
Oh,
What?
because we're awful and we riot and everything.
No one
It's
likes
gross East
us.
Coast.
And that's
You horse shit
it. Yeah.
off the street.
All right.
I mean, I don't know
You
what
know
you
what?
do when you're there.
That could have worked out if you were just a little more supportive.
Except it didn't, and I'm not.
You know what? I don't like this Jake with no fish on his
Yeah.
shirt.
Bring back Fish Jake.
You're just jealous of
Fish
my superior.
Jake. Fish Jake. Fish Jake.
You're just jealous of my superior hair. So
Ooh.
take that.
Yikes.
Bill, you're looking for the time stamp. You could. We're at 50 minutes.
You hate it when I ask, so now I just try to look. What are those numbers?
By getting in his lap.
Those are measures. Ignore them.
Measures? I always wondered why I couldn't figure out how many. I was like, is it seconds?
Meters.
There's numbers up there like 1352.
Yes, we've only been
So now
talking
we're
13
segueing
minutes.
into how I use Ableton to record this podcast and what that looks like. There are musical measures counted up top. Obviously, we're not keeping a beat here. And then there's
Yeah, you're
actual
not.
timestamps at the bottom.
Oh my goodness.
That's Ableton.
You guys, Frank, you'll appreciate this. Last story, and then I'm going to wrap up the section. Talk about computers, since you are one. I had to write this wait function, and I wanted it to behave conditionally, but I wanted to be able to set a specific amount of seconds for it to wait. And I was like, I'm writing in Java. What's a good way to deal with seconds? So the first solution I found was to get thread.milliseconds, and it gives you the number of milliseconds that have passed since like January 2nd, 1970 at 1 a.m. And that was too big of a number. And then I ended up checking with the time, and the condition is I add 30 seconds to it, and when the current time is greater than that, the condition's met. It was so much fun. It was cool.
What?
The whole audience knows exactly what you were just describing and gets it.
Yeah. Well, Frank would get it since his clock runs.
Understanding intensifies.
Yeah. All right, we're going to kick you to a break, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about, what are you nerds talking about?
D&D,
D&D?
bitches.
Dungeons and Dragons. We'll catch you on the flip side. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, before we get into Dungeons and Dragons, I forgot to mention sports ball happened, and we finally had a good sports ball game on Thursday.
Yes, we did.
Frank's and mine's favorite sports ball team finally
Did something good.
They won the battle, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got the puck to shoot a score.
Yeah, the Birds were the Eagles, which were Super Bowl champions 2 seasons ago.
Yes.
Started off 1-2 this season with a big loss to the fucking Lions.
Yeah. Who are actually currently beating the Chiefs, so there is that.
Wow. But the Birds beat Green Bay somehow at Lando Calrissian Stadium. What do you think of the squad? We're just going to take a couple minutes on this. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but what do you think of this?
Important.
What do you think of this team so far?
I still think they're underachieving. They just seem so much better than what they actually are. I think Thursday showed me that from a coaching perspective, at least on offense, I am like they're making adjustments to play the way that this team needs to play in order to win. So for the first 3 games of the season, they tried to throw the ball too much. And the first game it worked because they had Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. They both get hurt, so for the next 2 games they continue that, but they have backup, like borderline practice squad wide receivers on the field outside of Nelson Aguilar, who apparently went back to a couple years ago. So for those who do not follow football, especially the Eagles, Nelson Aguilar was a big draft pick for the Eagles in the 2015 draft, I think it was. And it might have been the 2014 draft, but he's been in the league for a few years. I think it was his second year in the NFL. He dropped, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 balls. And if you're a big time, highly paid wide receiver in the NFL, you are paid to catch a football. That is it.
Yeah.
If you have 5 drops in a season, that's pretty bad. If you have 15 or 20, like, you're probably going to get cut.
We're talking about like ball hitting you in the hands and then you drop it.
Exactly. Yeah. This isn't just like, oh, it was tough to catch it. It wasn't like, no, you were wide open. The ball came right to your hands and you just put it on the ground.
Yeah.
So last year,
Did he throw it on the ground?
no, unfortunately,
Is he a part
did
of their
not.
system?
Yes, he is a part of their system.
Is it the ground's birthday?
No.
Well, happy birthday to it anyway.
So I think it was 2016, which is the year before the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He dropped so many balls. It was unbelievable. Everyone thought they were going to cut him. They didn't. Then they looked like super smart geniuses in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl, and he was a major part of that.
Well, they sent him to
Oh.
a sports therapist. Is
Yes.
the big scuttlebutt.
Yes, that's true.
And
So anyway, he's back to dropping the football a lot, and that's not good.
they didn't hit him a single time on Thursday, did they?
No,
They didn't target him once,
because he dropped the ball.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's always. I feel like it's always a tough line to walk as a coach between, like, not getting so upset with your, like, supporting your player through their mistakes so they can believe in themselves to improve, and being like, there are consequences for fucking up, nerd.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's a whole diatribe about Nelson Aguilar. Then there was a guy on the news that was like, he went to go save babies in a fire, and he was like, "Yeah, man, they were throwing babies out here, and we was catching them on like Aguilar," which is amazing.
Dang.
Yeah. And
Wait, that's what he said? Because
Yeah,
Yes.
he burned Aguilar. Burned him.
In the fire?
someone was showing me a picture of a shirt that was saying "catching babies like Aguilar."
No, he said unlike Aguilar, because this was 2
okay.
weeks ago. It happened anyway. So yeah, they were throwing the ball too much for 2 weeks. And the Eagles have 2 really good tight ends in Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. So why they don't use them, why they weren't using them enough or more for the first 3 weeks, I'm not sure. I guess they did use him a lot in the 1 week when he had like 10 catches for 100 and some yards. But they needed to use both tight ends at the same time because
That's what she said.
it's much easier to run the ball when you have 2 tight ends on the field. And they can both catch, so you're not really giving up the air attack, right?
Speaking of running,
Like a drone strike?
Sanders, who's, I think it's his rookie year,
This is his rookie year, yes.
he finally settled in last game and looked
Yeah.
like he was converting opportunities into yards.
Wow,
Bernie
he's
Sanders?
He's already running for president. Too.
That's what I
Really
thought.
impressive.
Yeah, like, whoa, what a
He's a-
switch.
Go him.
90-year-old Jewish guy. in
Good
the
for
NFL.
him. Good for him.
No, this is Miles Sanders, who used to play for Penn State behind Saquon Barkley, who is on the New York Giants now. And yeah, he had a pretty mediocre year once he was by himself and finally running the show for Penn State. But yeah, I agree. He looked really good.
Well, there were some really big holes opened up by
Yes.
the offensive line.
Whoa.
And he wasn't hitting them every time until later game on Thursday. He started translating that into 8-yard gains and stuff. But so that was good to see. What's going on with the Eagles' defensive secondary? Their linebackers, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything. They're running into each other.
Well, they're not. The linebackers were the weakest part of the team going into the year, so you expected that. But the secondary was supposed to be better, right? I mean, Ronald Darby, you traded a lot to get him from the Bills. You traded Jordan Matthews and I think a second or third round pick in 2017. That was the year they won the Super Bowl. And then I think they re-signed him. I think his contract was up and they re-signed him. You have Sidney Jones, who you spent a second-round pick on, who hasn't really been that productive. And then behind him, Rasul Douglas, who I don't even know when they drafted him. He might have been like an undrafted free agent. He's been probably their best defensive back all year. And then you have Avonte Maddox of Pitt fame, who, I think that he might have been like a 7th-round pick. But Avonte Maddox was like the bane of Pittsburgh football, like University of Pittsburgh football, because he was just known for getting burned by Penn State receivers and giving up big touchdowns and other ones too. ACC receiver. I got there in the ACC, I think. So now he's playing in the NFL, and he's still getting burned by anybody that they put him on to cover.
Oh my God.
And then he went down, and it looked like he was paralyzed on Thursday night.
Got knocked the
Oh, that was that
out.
guy.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, his own team.
Yeah, that was not.
Fuck out.
Yeah,
Here, and I've said this before, and if you are a regular to the show, I'm not one of those. The Europeans have it all figured out. Why can't us Americans be more like them? Flip, 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 flip.
No, that's me.
But I have played. I played both football, played that for 8 years, and I played rugby now for 6. And I really think if the NFL wanted to make a rule to prevent these high injury tackles, they would institute a rule where you must attempt to wrap your arms around the attacker when you tackle them.
Yeah.
Because this fucking dum-dum turned himself into a meat missile by lowering his shoulder, turning his head away, and picking up his leg, so he rocketed like a comet. And surprise, surprise, when you're not looking at who you're trying to tackle and you're not attempting to wrap them, he missed the defender and hit his own teammate in the side of the head and knocked him the fuck out. He looked dead.
Yeah. It was not a good
We saw
look.
murder.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree, Bill.
That's Canadian football.
But I think they're like inching in that direction, because a couple years ago they put the helmet to helmet rule, so you have to lead with the shoulder, not your helmet. But it's going to be a few more years of players getting used to that, because you have seen like they all lead with their shoulder now.
And that's only, we're not going to go down this whole road, but I firmly believe that that's a more recent, like the last 15 years development, because when I was coming out, we learned to tackle a certain way, and I blame ESPN's top 10 hits and blah, blah, blah. The whole thing. But who everybody wants to talk about, every video gamer wants to talk about Carson Wentz. Yes. Why are his passes looking so poop?
Some of them aren't. Most of them aren't.
But every one of them was beautiful 3 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not worried about him. I look at his numbers, and honestly, his numbers so far this year have been great. So even if some of his throws look a little wishy-washy, probably a lot to do with he's not really built to get rid of the ball. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy who will just eat a sack, and he can't do that anymore.
Sounds like you're talking about me, Frank.
Yeah. In layman's terms,
he will get tackled as a quarterback. So when you tackle the quarterback, that is called a sack.
Okay. But you're saying he's meant to do that, or
no. So most quarterbacks, because when you if you're trying to throw the ball as a quarterback and you get tackled behind the line, if you get sacked, right? The ball, like your position in the field, moves back to wherever you were tackled. So generally, you step back a couple of steps from where the ball was. Mm-hmm. So that's bad. You don't want to move backwards. You want to move forward. If you just throw the ball to nowhere, as long as you avoid a few particular set of rules where that would be a penalty, nothing happens. You just lose the down and you go back to where the ball was originally.
Okay.
So if you get sacked, you go backwards. If you get rid of the ball, it's fine. Now that you just lose it down.
So you're saying he's not getting rid of the ball fast enough?
In his mind, he historically, and like the way he played in college, was he would not just get rid of the ball. He would just try and avoid getting tackled for as long as possible, and wait for one of his receivers to get open. One, that's not happening enough. His receivers aren't getting open. And two, this is the NFL where it's a lot harder to like everyone is super fast, right? Mm-hmm. In college, not everybody is nearly as fast. So it's like way more difficult to avoid those hits. And he's probably the best at it in the NFL right now that Ben Roethlisberger is like dead, basically.
Yeah.
Because people will try and tackle me. So he's like 6'5", 240 pounds.
Right.
He's huge. So he gets like people try and tackle him. And he just gets away from it.
What do you think of the some of the new rule changes this year? There's no face guarding now. You don't have to look back at the ball if you're a defender. Mm-hmm. It used to be the quarterback threw the ball to a receiver. The defender had to turn around and try to play the ball. Couldn't just be like, ha ha ha, you can't see it. Now they don't have to. And the other weird rule is you can challenge now.
Pass interference, yeah.
No, you can challenge. Well, yeah. You can challenge the lack of a call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
It used to be if there was no call, tough shit. Now you're just like, I think there should have been a call.
Yep.
What do you think of this?
Why does that make you mad?
It doesn't make me mad. It's like a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like
I want them to get it right. I want them to be faster, right? They're not necessarily faster. But I do like that they put more of an effort into getting it right instead of just saying, suck it up, we made a mistake, deal with it. Yeah. I think over time they're going to get faster. I want them to get to the point where the people, like they have people back in the New York, like the home office of the NFL, reviewing like pretty much every play. And then like the guys on the thing will tell officials, like the replay or the officials in the stadium, like they're mic'd into them, and they'll tell them, hey, we think we saw a hold here, we think we saw pass interference here, take a official timeout and go look at it in the stadium. You know what I mean?
This seems like something that is like a supremely obvious application of a neural network.
Yeah,
like you just take all the footage of every penalty call ever, and you say this was a good one, this one wasn't, and then the machine learns, and then it can just do it in real time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's an exact science. I don't know.
I agree.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. The game's definitely changing. Some of the time management stuff, and it's clear that they want, I guess people were like, football games are taking too long. And if you notice now, there's never a breath, right? After every play, they're showing slow motion replay of something while they get set up. And it's like, I remember watching Aaron Rodgers. They're like, oh, he hit his hand a little bit. And then they're like slow motion him pulling his fingers.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And I was like, this is I'm watching a man play with his fingers, man. This is kind of weird. Little.
I will give them a lot of credit for speeding up the possession flips. So it used to be, for a long time, the biggest, like everyone hated, it was like score a touchdown, commercial, extra point, commercial, kickoff, commercial, right? It was like a commercial sandwich, a triple-decker commercial sandwich. And it would be, it was awesome, there's a touchdown, especially if it was your team. If it wasn't your team, you're probably pretty pissed. And then you'd have to sit through like 5 to 8 minutes of commercials over the next 10 minutes. Well, you got approximately 30 seconds of football action. They've done a lot better. Same thing with a punt. They've gotten a lot better at that, where they just kind of like keep the camera and they'll chat for 30 seconds and it's like, okay, get out there.
What do I need to do? How much money do I need to pay to have all my commercials replaced with big titty anime bitches, Futanari style, up on my screen?
What style?
Futanari?
No.
Big titty anime bitches with mighty dongs.
So what you can do is just get 2 TVs, and then as soon as the commercial plays, you look at the other TV.
But
Or have it play in screen,
I want the TV to do it for me. I don't want to have to turn my head, right?
Okay.
So here's
I don't
what
want to have to look at 2 people. That's why I put all the parts on
So
one.
just have a TV, and then it flips over like a whiteboard, and then all of a sudden the other side is your commercial
It's just
swap.
a point of convenience, really.
Yeah.
Here's what I recommend, Bill. All right. You get YouTube TV, right? Because that is purely over the internet, right? And this, I think, is compatible with AdBlock, right? So then set up a Raspberry Pi in your network, a Raspberry Pi hole, and instead of commercials that come through, which are flagged as advertisements, you have it either play that directly or, actually, you know what? That'll probably just work best.
So
Use a Raspberry Pi.
I've been looking into a Raspberry Pi /Pi hole, and what I learned is a Pi hole is software
Yes.
that does not necessarily need to be run on a Raspberry Pi. So if you if you have an old laptop sitting around like I do, you can use that.
Yes.
So I'm going to do that. So we're going to get rid of some of our ads. Anyhow, okay. Thank you all for being so patient with our sports ball break. I don't know when the next game is, but Frankenstein and I will
Next Sunday.
we're going to do the watching again. My dad's working, so I'll be here with you, baby.
I probably won't be here.
You cunt.
You can check the new place out if you want.
Y'all could come up here. The new roomie here likes the sports balls.
Does he?
Ah.
He is a bit of a fucking meathead there.
Better than your old roommate that you used to have.
The old roommate?
Yeah. That guy was a prick.
Spoiler, everybody, is Frank, and we hate that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Called out.
So you were going to start talking about the Dungeons and Dragons. Hit me up with that, baby.
Yeah.
So this can function kind of as a review of the Essentials kit, which was released exclusively to Target.
Oh.
Yeah, about 2 months ago.
Ooh.
Strange. I'm not sure why they did that, but hey, whatever. So this is kind of a successor to the starter kit, which our group here had attempted to play through once or twice. Twice, I think. We got 2 sessions in.
I think so.
And so there are a couple of key differences, right? The starter kit was a little bit more bare bones. If you want to like a review of the actual kit, it's pretty simple. The actual kit itself came with an adventure module called Lost Mines of Phandelver, which I'll talk about in a second. It came with a mini rule book, which had a very, very abbreviated version of the rules designed to kind of get you quick started. It came with some dice, some pre-made character sheets for, again, quick starting. And I think that was it. Do you remember anything else in there?
I don't think so. That sounds pretty much like what it was.
Yeah.
Just very basic, something you haven't played before. Here you go play.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you'd never played Dungeons and Dragons before, you could pick this up and you could start playing within probably about 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour, depending on how familiar you were with the idea and the rules.
Right.
If you've never played it before, you're probably not that familiar, so it might take you a little bit longer to read through the rule book. But again, very quick start, like very much oriented to here's $12 and I'm going to get started for a hobby that most people spend hundreds of dollars on.
Right. Would you feel comfortable DMing with this if you never played before?
So that's a great question. The adventure module that it comes with makes that very easy. And I will also say in general, it is one of the best pre-made, pre-written adventures for the 5th edition that is currently out there. And they have, I think they're up to almost 15 pre-made, pre-written, like official pre-written campaigns. So that is, I mean, I didn't play too many pre-written adventures in any of the other editions. I'd never played any of 4th edition. The only one that I really played was when I was in high school. I played it was at 3.5. And I didn't play any pre-written adventures. It was all like a homemade
one of your friends.
One. Yeah.
Homebrew.
Yes, they call it homebrew. So this I have heard from many people is by far the best starting adventure. The one that we played through, the Lost Mines of Phandelver, the best starting adventure that they've had. And many people always kind of look down on the starting set, like the starting adventure,
right?
Because it's normally very simplified and it's like railroaded. Here's an adventure, don't do anything else, right? Which is kind of the antithesis of what D&D is all about.
But it's like a good practice round,
yeah,
or
exactly.
like gives you some guidance. Because I mean, I've tried explaining D&D to a Polish friend, and she speaks really good English, but like the concept was not getting over to her. Like the whole idea of like sitting down and imagining a lot of stuff happening based on some numbers and other people's choices is really broad and too open to a lot of new people.
Yeah, if you've never played a tabletop game, they could give you the best starting set in the world, but you really just have to become familiar with the concept of how you play, let alone the rules, but just the concept of the general go of the game. But I think the starter set, I've looked at it because I've only ever played the couple sessions that we played of it, but from what I know and what I've kind of just seen that it comes with, it makes it pretty easy.
So that came out when when the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition was released in like I think 2014 or 2015. Like it's been 5 or 6 years, you know.
Right.
Now they decided for some reason to kind of refresh that, right, with the Essentials kit, which is priced a little higher. I think it was like $35 or $40, but you get a lot more. If what you got before was enough for a quick start, this is enough to start.
Oh.
Right? So it gives you, similarly to the starter set, it gives you an adventure. It gives you shortened rule book. However, this shortened rule book is about twice as big as the other shortened rule book.
Okay.
Right? It gives you character sheets to make your own characters with suggestions for pre-made ones, as opposed to here are some pre-made ones. You should probably use these. We didn't even include any blank character sheets for you to make your own. You have to go print them off if you want to.
Yeah.
And they're free. Like, you could just go print them off, but you know. It's heavy. It's very heavy-handed for the starter set. The other thing is interesting for the starter set. The pre-made characters were not that well designed because they're not like it. It was a new rule set. People didn't have that much experience playing with it yet, right? So now, 5-6 years later, things have been play tested. Balances have been found. They have suggestions. You're not required to use them. The rules are there for you to make your own characters if you want. And it's really nice, and I think that's like one of the most one of the biggest parts of D&D is making your own character and making it a character that you want to play as, as opposed to like getting handed a character sheet, you know, like you're a second-rate guild actor, right, and showing up to like B movie, like here's your script, don't fuck it up. We're paying
it's
you.
It's nice to have some freedom and your own input. It makes you care about it more.
Exactly. So the Essentials kit, again, it comes with that adventure module. It comes with the rule book, with some blank character sheets. Comes with this little screen for whoever's DMing to do their stuff behind. And I like the screen that they give you because it has all of the useful information. Like, it has rules written on it. So like rules that come up fairly often, like different conditions. So like, for instance, you could be grappled, which is different than being restrained.
Oh,
right?
Oh boy.
And there's nuances to these things, right? And it has them written there. It'll also have different things like how much does a squalid meal cost? You know, so like if you go up to a place in a city and you want to buy some dinner, you have options. You can go to the shithole at the corner, or you could go to the nice fancy restaurant where all the rich people eat, or you could, go to the middle of the road. It breaks down costs, how much each one of those are, to add a little bit more consistency to your play, and other minor things like that. This is all like right on the screen that you put up in front of whoever's DMing, and then they have all that information available right in front of their eyes. Should the need arise.
Right.
Always handy. It comes with extra dice, which is good because the starter set only came with like one of everything. This one comes with like 2d20s, 2d12s, 2d10s, I think 1d8, 4d6s, which is really handy, and then 2d4s.
Right.
So that's good. And what else? Oh, it comes with these little cards, like these perforated cards, where it has like magic items. It has quests that are tied to all of the quests in the adventure are on these cards, so that like if you have players who refuse to take notes or just don't, you can hand them the card, and now you don't forget what the quest is. You didn't even have to write it down, idiot. Just look at the card.
Yeah.
Same thing with magic items. It also has those conditions that I mentioned before, like the grappled, restrained, blinded, deafened, all that kind of stuff, that you can hand. So if somebody becomes grappled, you can hand them the card. This is what you can't do now, All
right, but how do you think this is going to fare for the illiterate population that doesn't know how to read, can't remember what's going on with these cards?
I would question why they're playing this game that is so heavily focused on reading in the first place.
I'm wondering where this pointed question came from.
I don't know. It just kind of popped up. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't read, I don't know how you're going to run a campaign.
Well, because you can explain everything to someone.
Oh, you mean if there was a person playing who wasn't able to read?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can...
Or write, so they're not going to be able to take their own notes.
You just have to have really good memory.
Okay. Or maybe drawings. Maybe that's how they do it, like hieroglyphs.
Little pictures.
Like, yeah.
I don't know where this was going, but I never thought about it before.
I feel like, maybe like Charlie Day would like to play this game, but...
Yeah.
He would just make his own rules up anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
It would just turn into Electric Boogaloo.
Anyway, so I think that covers pretty much everything that came in. Did I miss anything that came in the Essentials kit?
I think that was it, aside from the specific stuff from the campaign that it comes with.
Yeah. So the campaign that it comes with is set in the same town as the starting adventure, The Lost Mines of Phandelver. The town is called Phandalin. For those that are familiar with the Forgotten Realms setting, it is just outside. I shouldn't say just. It's a little bit outside of Neverwinter, but in that same region where like all of the major stuff takes place, it seems like.
Yeah, south of Neverwinter on the Sword Coast.
Yes.
So I don't want to make it like, too broad of a question, but if you have no idea about the worlds established by D&D, what does that mean exactly? Like, where is that?
So it's like typical fantasy stuff, right?
Okay.
It's a wide open area with a few big cities and a bunch of other smaller towns and settlements, and it's inhabited by all your typical fantasy stuff like dwarves and elves and humans and other things, and there's lots of monsters and MacGuffins all over the place for you to go find and kill and do all that stuff. That
Salad
fantasy
fingers?
adventure, yes, probably something similar.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of those high fantasy adventures. You know, think about how in Lord of the Rings, it takes place on Middle Earth, right?
Right.
And you know, in Middle Earth, it's like, as far as civilization goes, there's like Rohan and Gondor and that, and
Shire
For like the
and-
human population, then there's the Shire with the hobbits or the halflings.
And in between,
Okay.
there's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this place is. You've got the big cities on the Sword Coast, which again is like the primary setting for all this stuff. You have Neverwinter and Neverwinter at the north end. Below that, you have Waterdeep, and then further south, you have Baldur's Gate, and then you have a bunch of smaller smaller cities. Like those cities all have hundreds of thousands of people in them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the smaller settlements might top out at like 1,000 or 2,000. Maybe there's a few mid-sized ones of like 50 or 60,000, but there's not much, and in between them, there's nothing. Wilderness, open plains, monsters.
Perfect time to get jumped by bandits.
Exactly.
Find random caves, do some exploring.
So this Phandalin is one of those smaller settlements, and that's where this adventure takes place, just like I said, the starter set. But on like the starter set, there's like the overarching plot to it is not as strong, right? So the premise to this adventure is there is a dragon that has been sighted in this area.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more railroading where it's just...
I wouldn't necessarily call it... I mean, in essence,
more or
yes.
less?
Yeah, I think so. As the player character that we've been playing, I think it...
Well,
feels
here's
that
the
way.
thing about the
But
adventure.
you're both playing the same character?
No. So we'll talk about that in a second. Here's the thing about the adventure. The premise is there has been a dragon that is sighted. You show up in Phandalin and people have started seeing a dragon about. And there is a job board that has different jobs for you to do, most of which involve warning people about the dragon.
Okay.
Right? And that's it. That's all there is to it. Theoretically, right? One of the great things I think about this is if you have the starting adventure, right, the Lost Mines of Phandelver, and you have this, you could probably combine those two into a really good campaign, like a top tier campaign.
Yeah.
Right.
I imagine that's probably part of the design, right?
I would
That
think so.
They
I know
tried to do that.
what
kinda?
a lot of people who have read this and who have run the Lost Mines of Phandelver adventure, what a lot of people have said is they may not ever run the Essentials Kit adventure that it comes with. It's called Dragon of Icespire Peak. Of which, you know, the main thing is the dragon. And
telling people about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and you may or may not fight and kill it, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So what a lot of people who have run the starting set adventure like is that the quests that come with this Essentials Kit adventure are easy to stick into that other adventure, right? And kind of expand on it, right?
Okay.
So that's really good. Like right off the bat, what a lot of people really like for the not necessarily the pre-made adventures, but really any of the official published material is they like to take it and use it in their own homebrewed campaign.
Yeah.
And it kind of adds a lot of depth to it, where otherwise it's kind of like a loose idea of what they have for a story.
Yeah.
But then they get this really well-written stuff from Wizards of the Coast that kind of fill in all the details for them. But as an adventure, like I said, you basically show up to Phandalin. There's a bunch of quests. You can do the quests. And then at the end, maybe you fight the dragon, maybe you kill it. It's designed for characters.
It's a her?
I don't know.
I thought you said maybe you kill her.
No, kill it.
Oh, okay. Hashtag
It's gender
Hashtag
neutral.
insane
feminism.
Hashtag gender neutrality.
Dragonism.
And gender
Hashtag-
fluidity.
Yeah.
It's gender fluid.
Femdrag.
It's
That's like hashtag femdrag. Oh boy.
Oh Lord.
So one of the coolest little, I guess, additions to the rules that this kit made was the idea of sidekicks, right? So this is designed to allow you to play the game one-on-one.
As Batman and Robin?
Yes.
Okay. I'm about it.
It's
Batman
designed
take
to
on
let you
dragon.
play it one-on-one. So one
Okay.
DM and one player.
Oh.
And then you can add so that the player does not get insta-boned by any monster that it runs into. Because generally, well, the thing about Dungeons & Dragons campaign is that they are designed for a typical party of 4 to 6 people, right? If you have just one person, it makes it a lot more difficult because, especially at first level, you die like immediately from anything.
You done.
Yeah. So they introduced the sidekick rules where you can have an NPC tag along with you. They put in the rules either the player or the DM can control the sidekick, right? And they have stat blocks and simplified character advancement. Like essentially, it's like a watered down version of a player character rule set, right?
Okay.
And you can pick from 3 different types. They call it the warrior, which has 2 subtypes called attacker or defender, right? So that is what it sounds like. It is similar to the fighter player character class. And the 2 little subclasses for attacker, it gets +2 to all attack rolls, and for defender, it gives you plus. What does it give
They
you?
get the protection.
Yes, they get the
reaction.
protection reaction.
Is it a reaction?
Yes, where essentially I think it gives you either +2 AC or whoever's attacking you disadvantage. I can't remember which. Either one is pretty useful. And then you have the expert, which is similar to like a rogue, where they get extra proficiencies to kind of help you, and they can also take the help action as a bonus action, which I think gives you advantage on whoever you're trying to attack.
It does 2 things, remember?
Yeah, I don't remember the other thing, but the primary thing is that it either gives you, I think it's either it gives you advantage when you're trying to attack something, or it gives a creature trying to attack you disadvantage. Depending
so
on where you are.
effectively like the same thing.
Fairly similar, yes.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 different types. Then the last one is spellcaster. The 2 subtypes there are mage and healer.
Okay.
And they get a simplified spell list. And the rules spell out exactly what happens at each level. So these NPCs, these sidekicks, level up with you. Right, so it's not like a regular NPC. If you get one, chances are, if you get an NPC at first level, they're way stronger than you, and then they don't do anything. They soak up experience, and that experience just goes, it disappears. It's never used for anything. In this case, first of all, the adventure uses milestone leveling, so there is no traditional experience, and also the sidekicks level with you.
Can you explain milestone leveling?
Yes, so. Traditionally, throughout D&D's history, every time you kill monsters, complete quests, do something that involves using your skills and abilities in some way, you are granted experience points. When you reach a certain amount of experience points, you will advance to the next level. With milestone leveling, the level is tied to the place of the adventure you are playing. So at certain points, milestone events within the adventure, you gain a level. Regardless of what you have killed or what you have done, you reach this point, you are now advanced to this level. One of the things I really like about it is that it prevents characters from missing a part of an adventure that is designed to have a ton of experience. And so a lot of dungeon masters out there are really bad at giving experience out for non-combat stuff, So the intention of an adventure might be, well, you can either talk your way out of having to go do this dungeon, or you can go do the dungeon, right? Either you gained enough favor with the person, like, let's say this person has this thing that you need to give to somebody else, and you go to them, we're like, hey, you need this thing. And you can either say, or you say, you know what, we helped you out in the past this many times doing all this shit. Can you just give it to us? And they say, okay. Some DMs are like, nope, no experience.
Plus 50 charisma.
Yeah, doesn't matter. You didn't do anything. Go turn in the quest, and now you're under leveled because the dungeon they were going to send you on was designed to get you a level. And you didn't have to do it, so you don't get that level. So it kind of prevents stuff like that from happening. But yeah, this quest uses milestone leveling. It's a like I said, it's a for what it is. It's a pretty decent adventure. I think it runs pretty well one-on-one. Lisa and I played through the first part of it, and I thought it went really well because again, it's a fairly simplified adventure. You get a sidekick. She got to pick her own sidekick.
Who's your sidekick?
So my sidekick, I don't remember their last name, but her name is Nib.
Addlewood, I think.
Nib Addlewood?
Nib something, maybe it's Addlewood. She's a halfling mage.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah. I picked the sorcerer versus healer subtype.
Okay.
And her fun little thing is that it doesn't do anything, it's just a pet, but she has a pet goldfinch that follows her around. So that's kind of cool. And it's nice because, as Frank was explaining, the sidekicks come with very simplified rules for how they level and what you get at each level. Oh my god, it's almost like Lil the goldfinch is in the room. Crazy.
Can you make a bird sound?
No.
That's just a lie.
Yeah, but it also comes with little backgrounds and motivations for the character so that you don't have to come up with, okay, so you have this halfling mage.
Be like, they are just an empty shell of a person.
Yeah, they give them a background. And the way that Frank and I decided to play it was he would role play as Nib.
Like dress up as her?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Only in the bedroom, though.
Tuck his ding dong. Leave the balls.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's into that Futanari stuff.
Maybe. But he would, in conversation and stuff, would act as Nib, but during fights, I would control Nib's actions, which I think makes the most sense because you could have your GM control the sidekick during a fight, but they're also doing a bunch of other things, and it's kind of just like playing against yourself. So I felt it would just be easier to have Nib's character sheet during fights and just be able to do that myself. But you can play it either way depending on what your GM wants. Another interesting thing that we decided not to do, but we were watching a couple people whose D&D streams we watch weekly kind of play and look at this campaign, was we only decided to give me one sidekick.
Oh, you can have more?
But it doesn't really say that you can only have one.
Oh.
So if you wanted to, if you just have one player character, you can have two or three other sidekicks, and you can basically have a squad going.
Make a squad of sidekicks.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot harder because that's a whole bunch of other people that you have to role play as, and then you're basically still playing by yourself, but you have to
so many more responsibilities.
Yeah.
Do you worry about metagaming, i.e., specifically, so that'd be e.g., your characters? Do you worry that your characters show a too high a level of coordination because you know everything that both the characters know?
No, and this was kind of the difficult part that is really so far in we've only played one session, but it was quite a extensive session that we played. It kind of, even though I have a sidekick and even though Frank kind of does some of the role playing for the sidekick, it still feels a lot like I'm just playing by myself, which I am, right? But it doesn't really feel like I have a party with me. And I can kind of go...
It's like having an extra turn.
Yeah.
And some extra abilities.
And it doesn't really bother me in that sense, but it's more of it just takes away from the role-playing aspect of playing with other people, that you get to bounce things off and, you decide as a group what you're going to do, and you can kind of, role-play against how other people may play their character. So I kind of lose a good amount of that, and it would depend on how involved the GM is. Frank did not super extensive job, I think, as much of the role-playing as perhaps you could have. But the GM also knows true. But the GM obviously knows what you can and can't do, but it's nice because if, you're stuck as the only player character and you really have no idea what to do next, they can kind of be like, oh, hey, maybe we should go do this. Or, this sounds, I remember hearing this at a point in time.
prompt you through your sidekick.
Yeah, which is nice. But and this is obviously inherent with being the only player character, even if you're kind of playing with the GM, you definitely lose a lot of that role play aspect, but that's one downside. But it's very interesting having this sidekick thing that they've set up because it's just easy to play with only one person.
Seems like a very good thing for, again, it's someone who's starting, or I guess 2 people who are starting to play and they're not really sure.
Now, can you play one person and that's it? You're the DM, you're the player, and you're the sidekick?
Oh my God. I mean,
you could, I suppose, but why would you want to?
The box says for 2
'Cause you
to
hate
6
people?
players.
Okay.
It does not leave you the option to play.
but could you?
Technically you could, of course, but it wouldn't be fun, I don't think.
And you would just be making a movie in your head.
Genevieve, I'm sure there is an unfortunate neckbeard in a basement somewhere who has an entire party and campaign going by himself.
Yeah.
Where he is role-playing each character independently and having very intense conversations with himself.
Yeah.
And knowing the neckbeards probably has some very interesting love triangles going on with himself.
Look, it adds to the drama. You
Yeah.
believe the characters are real.
And then he just railed her.
It's funny.
And then he just railed
It's
her.
funny
She
because-
fought, but his strength was too much.
Oh
for
my
her.
God.
Oh no.
This is...
real things that I've seen come out on the D&D subreddit.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
D&D
quit
subreddit,
writing them, Frank.
and they're called like D&D horror stories.
Yes.
And so many of these
yeah.
guys have like weird fantasies that
Yeah,
they're working
it's
on.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But,
But-
if you're curious, and then he just railed her is a classic Reddit story
Oh.
where I can't remember the context, but I think they were doing creative writing in somebody's high school, and this one guy tried to write a romantic scene in class and then read it out to everybody, and then he like built up to the part where they were going to have sex, and that was his big delivery. His big exposition, and then he just railed her, and he read it in front of the entire class, and everybody was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, that's what you run into, unfortunately.
And then he just railed her.
Yeah.
See, when you limit the amount of people in your group, you run into that as a chance much less, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, big fan. I like, as Bill, to get to your point about the sidekicks and how they interact, right? The suggestion, I know they are technically rules. I view every rule in D&D as a suggestion on how to play. Is that they are, I think
Single
the quote
player
is
mode.
like stalwart companions that, kind of like follow you around. So like the intention is supposed to be like, they're your buddy, like they are your sidekick, and like Robin, he just does what Batman tells him, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't really question him too much. He looks up to it. So I think writing the character in that way also helps. Like if you develop a backstory, like why does this person follow you around and help you?
I was going to say, fun fact, Robin was introduced so that they could explain exposition and not have Batman just talking to himself.
So
So he was meant to ask questions.
Yes.
do you play them like goons in action movies who are evidently the bravest people on the planet? Because
Yeah, right.
there will be 400 of them, and 377 goons will be murdered in front of the remaining 23, and they go, I'm going to continue to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can beat these odds.
Yeah. I mean,
This is
my fight
song. Take back. Okay, sorry.
I mean, look, Nib in this case is pretty powerful in her own right. She's confident in her abilities, and
What a loser.
yeah. And then Lisa's character is an accomplished fighter. So I don't like they go challenge stuff. I don't know. I try and give Nib when I speak as her enough of a
Do you do a voice?
yes.
Yep.
Oh, wait, I just remembered Nib's last name.
Bull?
It's Burpleys.
Nibber, please.
The Burpleys.
Nibber, please.
No.
Yes.
Nibber, please? Please?
Please.
Please?
Oh God. I hate you.
Yeah.
So you do a voice. Can you do the voice for us real quick?
I can try.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very like
Keep
lighthearted.
in mind,
Yeah.
she's a little halfling
Yeah.
mage.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nib. I really like falling around Dane. That's
Yeah.
about it.
I'm
Is that-
rock
I'm-
solid.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So
That's the best that my voices
Yeah.
get. I'm not a professional voice actor. You will not see me on
I think
Critical Role.
it needs to go higher.
You
Yeah.
I
you
can't
exhibit
get it much
a
higher.
phenomenal amount of personality for a numbers guy. So that was amazing.
Thank you.
Like if you could role play as an accountant.
yeah.
I do that every day. Unfortunately, that's too much like real life.
Yeah. Yeah. But the reason I chose
I'm sorry, just 1 second. Could you imagine if there is like a John Wick out there and he like sat down to play Grand Theft Auto or something like that? He'd be like, God, this is like work. I don't want to play this. He just like then
Just want
boots
an
up, like,
office job.
farming simulator.
The difference there is that you, as a machine, it would make logical sense for you to leave work and then realize you weren't doing work, so you would use your recreation to simulate more work.
That's
So that when you went back to work, you'd be better at work.
Yeah,
More efficient.
all the training.
it's true.
All the training.
Firmware updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I got you.
no,
Baby.
Baby.
I try and give Nib just enough personality to make Lisa not so lonely when
Pretty
like
much.
making decisions.
Aww.
Yeah,
to
because
make
it's really hard to play as one player character because, while inherently campaigns have some sort of quest line that you're going on, I'm just like, you know, like we started off and he's like, okay, you're in Phandalin, like where do you go? I'm just like, well,
What's
I
what's
guess
there?
I go here. And then he's like, okay. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I'm like,
what
I
else?
talked to the bartender. Okay, like, do you want to go to bed? I'm like, sure.
You know, you know what I think is going to be really good for you in doing this? You're going to realize, you're going to become acutely aware of what a good teammate can do in a group setting. So I've played a number of games. Genevieve, you played too, but we haven't played in a while. But one thing I learned over the 2 years that I played was like, if you want to play an interesting character, you can do that. You can go whole hog and be like, I'm going to be this character with all this depth, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes that's mutually exclusive with being a good teammate.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to find a way to ask the right questions and suggest things to people. And then at other times, you just can't think of something off your own head. You're so deep in the problem and you need somebody else there. But it's like, we'll have this thing. I've been in situations where we have a relatively new party together and everybody's a little nervous and everybody's just sitting there talking. They're like, your armor is silly. And then the conversation stops. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
How do we get moving again?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's nice about the sidekick is that you can kind of, and there was a point, I forget what it was, but I kind of hit a wall plot-wise, like, okay, so I did the thing and
Now what?
like I just didn't know what else to do. And it's nice that, you know, even though Frank can't really be a player character, he obviously knows enough being the GM that he can kind of prod me with Nib, like, oh, like maybe we should do this, or like, oh, remember that thing, and I can be like, oh yeah, okay, like it kind of gets me back on track, which is nice because you have no other player characters to soundboard off of in terms of what should I do, or just, you know, interesting role play time.
Yeah.
Also,
But-
from a DM perspective, it is exhausting because there is no downtime. Anyone who is a DM knows that time that players bicker among themselves is very valued because that gives you time to go read notes and like prepare shit that is about to happen, so that once they're done arguing about what they're going to do next, you're prepared to react to it. But if there's only one player, there is none of that bickering time, and any of the time they're not speaking is probably time they're talking to their sidekick, which is also you, which means you have to be engaged with them. Like, it's nonstop engagement on both directions.
Yeah. It's really hard. And I understand how difficult it is because, of course, it'd be nice if Frank could be the GM and player character. But we realize that his circuitry only has so much potential.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure as the GM, it's so difficult for that balance, right? Because you're trying to kind of be a player character, and then also you can't just be the player character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, again, like it's so the pace is so much faster when you don't have a party.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay, I want to go here. Great. Okay, we go there. I'm like,
no one fights
okay.
you on anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice because I picked Nib because my character, Dane Silveraxe, is a dwarven fighter, and I kind of made him this like stoic kind of dwarf character who was a miner And then I picked the folk hero background, so I like saved my people from this big cave-in. So I'm kind of this like, stoic-y dwarf. I kind of wanted him to be a bit like Gimli, but I can't do a Scottish accent, so it's really depressing.
Honestly, I created a character with a Scottish accent in a campaign just to practice it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
literally,
it's very difficult.
for the entire time that we've done this for like a week now, I can't. It's awful. It just turns into British. I'm like, no.
I don't mean this in any sort
feel
of
like mine always
dig
turns
toward the
Irish.
Scots. I love listening to them talk, but it blows my mind that what they say is technically English.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then I, so that's my character, and I'm like a dual wield fighter, so I have like a hammer and an axe.
Excellent.
And I picked Nib as my sidekick because she's
You wanted
this
to
little
feel
half
taller
elf.
With
Yeah.
someone.
Who has like a gambling problem and has a little bird friend, and she's kind of this like happy-go-lucky little person. I'm like, this clashes so perfectly. It just does like something to add some depth, I guess, instead of picking just kind of some sidekick, like at least someone that I can be annoyed with, I guess, as a player character, and like bring some sort of depth between a half character and then me.
What
So-
days do you usually play?
Whenever we have the
whenever we
time.
have time.
So say you've only played one.
We played
Yeah.
one
Session.
session, but it was like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, it was a long
So-
time. I mean, we got through a lot.
Yeah.
Like what we did in that 3 or 4 hours would probably take a normal group 10.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. It was at least a couple sessions if you were playing with an actual party of
Yeah.
multiple.
Well, let me know, and I can come up after work if you want to do it during the week.
Yeah.
Get a couple hours in. I've played like Dungeon Crawler Classics, so the old versions, as a warrior. I haven't played like a barbarian warrior in the new.
Yeah.
What version are we up to?
5.
5.
Yeah.
And I also haven't been. I've been a wizard a couple of times, like in necromancer and shit. But I wouldn't mind being a paladin since you're already the meathead.
Yeah.
And do some healing.
Yeah. Well, what's cool, I think, about this campaign is like if you're really interested in joining, it seems like a really easy way to be like, okay, you're back in Fandel. Someone else heard about the dragon, so
Yeah.
someone else shows
Yeah.
up, and you're like, cool,
Yeah.
join us.
Very,
But then they have
very
to
easy.
leave, and they're not in the next
Yeah.
iteration if you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very
Yeah.
cool.
But actually, the one thing that we didn't talk about is, while this is available on the Roll20 app, this is the first campaign, at least for me, that I've played that's paper and pencil.
I love it.
Ooh.
I love paper and pencils.
Yeah. It's hard because Roll20 just makes it so easy calculating all the different bonuses and whatever you add to all your different rolls. So it's a new and, well, difficult. I think it's kind of fun.
Here's the thing I love about Roll20, and it's something that I actually can't even use because I don't pay for it, is the dynamic lighting aspect
Yeah.
for all of the dungeon. Like all of the dungeons have a map pre-drawn in them, and you can put your little tokens on there, and they have the dynamic lighting, so like you can only see what you see, and like if you don't have dark vision and you're in a dark dungeon and like your torch goes out, it just instantly goes black. Like your screen instantly goes black. Yeah, so it's like it gives you that sense of like you're in a dungeon, there's shit out there like in there that's trying to kill you, and now you just lost your torch. What are you gonna do? You
Yeah,
know?
there's so much more imagination that at least even alone from that aspect that you have to put into when you're playing like physical tabletop. Because I was drawing like a little map of the, I realized, quite tiny cave that I went into. And I was like, oh, is this right? Like I want to draw it out. Or, like if you're in there, you can't be like, okay, you have to like draw your grid right if you're actually in combat, as opposed to just, okay, I walk over here. Am I close enough to attack them yet? No? Okay,
Yeah.
like I guess I wait, get ready and like move the next turn. So
And I went out and I bought some like the also mini product review tactical maps reincarnated. Very, very high quality. Really like them. I think there's like 12 of them or something. It was like $15 or $13 or something. They're pretty cheap for a D&D thing. Most of them are pretty expensive, unfortunately. But yeah, the maps are great.
What do they?
Really good.
Are they just like?
They're
Caves
gridded.
or what?
No,
Okay.
yeah, there's many. There's like a
Okay.
city. There's woods. There's a river. There's like a coastal area. There's multiple ones of like caves,
Yeah.
temples.
just like generic battle map. So it's
Yeah.
not specific to any campaign. It's just like, oh, if you're in the woods, you can use this as your battle map for
Cool.
a fight.
The only thing that I could say is I wish they were like laminated so that you could take a pen like a Sharpie and draw on
Yeah.
them. And then like, so for this specific one, like this area is difficult terrain, or this area is, you know, you can't get to, or there's a wall here, because a lot of them are just big squares. But yeah, I that has been nice to have available when needed. So, because the one that we used was basically like a big square, and it worked perfectly. Like, I just took, what did we use? We used something to like mark where the pillars were.
Yeah, I was using like little pins or something I had because we didn't have any like little miniatures.
Do like quarters.
So you could just literally use a penny if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Now we have minis though.
We do. I have a little mini.
I mean,
They're not painted yet. Lisa will take care of that at some point.
Maybe. I have time.
Yeah, you got to paint them. I can't paint, so.
this is very interesting stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited for you to DM. I'm ready to be in on that. And I still want to get mine together. We tried a couple times online and fell off because I can't manage time well. But all right, before we kick it to the break, I want to touch on something else that Genevieve and I did. So we did a live stream of Genevieve's Roly Doby game. She wasn't playing in it, but it was her team. So I went in and I was like, I've always wanted to do a radio broadcast. And I know media is typically moving away from an actual radio tower, and it would still be cool. Like if we could have an actual radio show, if they're like, we'll pay you guys a living wage, and I'd be like, hell yeah. This sounds the best. I want to be like Preston Steve. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk about it? You feel
Oh,
like?
yeah. I that would be fun.
Yeah. So we did this live stream, and I got to say, it was a lot of fun. And we're like, how the fuck are we going to do this? So I look it up. I go on. Well, I just bought myself a refurbished Chromebook. And I don't really do that anymore. I don't buy refurb shit because every piece of technology I buy that's refurbed sucks dick in some way. Like my phone is a $300 refurb, and it's got icons burned in on the screen at the bottom from somebody being on Instagram for too long, and only one side of the headphones output works, but whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I rolled the dice. I bought a $100 Chromebook because I needed to be able to access Google stuff and nothing else from work.
And it's adorable. It's a little tiny computer.
Yeah, it's very tiny, but it has a webcam on it that turns around 180 degrees.
Oh, cool.
I was able to log into Facebook and live stream the game through my fucking Chromebook and hook in my Blue Snowball microphone.
You remember the microphone from the first ever podcast?
First episode. And it was actually a blast. And
it's okay when there's only two people talking.
Genevieve and I did it together. You came in more in the second half.
Right.
And
I was listening and testing for the sound.
Yeah, she was my sound guy, and she would write down. It was it felt so fucking official because she'd write down like interpretations of rules and pass me a paper. She'd write down like stats and pass it to me.
Or like if a penalty got called or a timeout, I'd like try to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really just me on the beginning. And then towards the second half, I wasn't told, but Genevieve decided that it was a co-broadcast now. And
well, you interviewed me, and I think I just got stuck there, and I was like, okay, I guess.
There was one point where she was explaining a rule in good detail, which is good because like a lot of people who are watching don't get all the nuance.
It's mostly like, from my experience, it's mostly family members who are like, we want to support you, but we have no idea what this game is.
Mm-hmm.
So she's talking about the game, and right in front of the camera, some really big, exciting hit happens. And we're only using one microphone. And I'm trying to coordinate it so that we both can get in without talking over each other. And I try to lean in to indicate I want to talk, and she keeps on going with the rules. I mean, somebody got obliterated in front of the camera. So I start tapping her on the shoulder to let me cut in and call the excitement and then let her finish. And it doesn't work out. So she finishes, and then I like recap it and comes back, and it was fine. But afterwards I get talking to her. I'm like, why didn't you like let me work in real quick? And she goes, what did you say? I thought you were trying to trick me.
I didn't say that. I just inherently I always think that about everyone. So I'm always an anxious person.
That I was trying to dupe her. So we got talking about like this has been a long-standing thing. It gives me a brand new eye to view the podcast, but going back through time. But it was a lot of fun. It's harder than I thought it would be, and I of course I hammed it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like I did an announcer voice coming around the corner, blah 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 blah, and on the live broadcast it sounded pretty good. But when I went back and listened to whatever Facebook saved, I wanted to punch myself in my dick.
No.
I was like, I fucking hate you, me. It's and there were
What did
huge
it sound
pauses,
like?
and it just
Just
instead
too
of being
much?
like, we're coming around the corner, there's a good game in front of us, it sounded like coming around the corner, everybody, and like really choppy and awful. Oh, I was so mad. But when's your next game?
There's a game this coming weekend, but that's at Dutchland, and our next home game is the 13th.
So we'll be live streaming that game.
October the 13th.
Yes.
Friday?
No, it's a Sunday.
So
I know.
we'll be live streaming that.
Where can they see it?
They can,
Facebook.
Fascist book. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
you want to maybe give useful information?
That's your job.
Diamond State Roller Derby has a Facebook account. We'll be streaming through there again. If I can figure out how to dual broadcast it, we might get it through another website. What?
I just want to say that Bill's dad was about 50% of the viewership on the day of.
The ever loyal Bill's dad.
He jumped on. He's like, "Oh, I wanted to hear you," and then
He is so supportive of you, Bill.
his implication was that he didn't hear me. I'm like,
Did you watch?
Did you hear? Did you turn the sound on? I was like, oh, it took me a little bit of time to get on. I don't fucking know. But that one video within 24 hours had like 450 views.
Wow.
It's the most successful thing we've ever broadcast because it's
It's a game.
more universally appealing. I don't know, whatever. So we're gonna do that again. I've invited Frank down to be my numbers guy. We can round it out with like a player, you as the numbers guy, me as the other announcer, and then anybody else who wants to work in for color commentary, and we get a good. I think it's going to be really fun. I want to build out a whole halftime show and just dumb shit where they let us do what we want because it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, tune into that. Go to DiamondStateRollerDerby.com. There will be a link to their Facebook from there, or you can search them on Facebook.
Yep.
If you see more, better, good together, that's their little phrase. And we'll try to schedule it and promote it this time. But jump on in. Oh, and we have a live chat that we participate in. So if you talk to me, the announcer over the live stream, I will talk back to you. So fan engagement.
If you're lonely,
there. Yep.
here's your chance for social interaction with Bill.
And it's live.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're going to kick it to another quick break, come back, do the Steam sale, catch you on the flip side. Steam sale. Steam sale. Steam sale.
Oh, look, it's working.
Steam sale.
Steam sale.
And
Nice.
we're done. Okay. We have some crap down under. Oh, God, I hit a button. Oh, God. Wait, we'll come back to that.
Oh my God.
Oh, God. Oh, geez. Special
Everything's
offers.
awful.
Stardog Publisher Weekend. We'll come back to that. Let's look at some of these things that aren't like publishers.
Dark
and my eyes are
Devotion.
drawn immediately to Chinese parents.
Me too.
Oh, no. It
Now
now
support-
supports English.
No. Now support English.
Oh,
No
Chinese
S.
parents.
yes.
Yes. The Chinese parents support English.
Okay, let's go. $6.39. In this casual sim set in China, you step into the shoes of an average kid from birth. Toward the end of your high school, study hard,
Oh.
have fun. Make friends and your face ultimate. And face. The English is making me do it wrong. Make friends and face your ultimate challenge. The Gao Cow, obviously. What will your life be after that? And when you have a child, will you be a tiger parent? I'm sure our parents all ask that very same question of themselves.
I'm very concerned about being a tiger parent.
This is 1,000% Chinese government malware. / propaganda.
It's published by Coconut Island Games. I mean, how can you think so cynically about it?
I know. It's yeah.
And it's developed by Chinese characters that we can't read.
Ignorant Americans don't even know how to read whatever the fuck that is.
Wait, so how much is it?
I took about 25 minutes in Mandarin. So I'm fluent. But I'm
How
not
much
gonna
is
translate
this?
It is $6.39.
Ooh, okay, if it was $1, I would kind of really
Oh, we
wanna
could buy
play
the
it.
Coconut Island Popular Games bundle for $23.19.
Oh.
Home behind
We're not going to look into that.
Shio, Victorium, and Esports Legends.
Legend.
Jesus Christ.
Again,
What
no
am I
S.
looking
Oh
at?
my god. Anyway, this looks like a menu. What daily cost of being naughty? Okay.
This is someone's fetish.
We have a baby whose allowance is being cut. Apparently,
What is
looks
this
like
baby spending money on?
not
Titty
diapers
shots?
like it should be. Apparently.
Titty shots.
So Chinese parents, 10 out of 10, best game of 2019.
Can you look at Total War?
Yeah, Total War.
Totally
Weekend
different.
deal
Is this
up to 75%.
historical sale? Okay, never mind. I was so Total War Warhammer 2 is out, and I've heard it's really good. But these are all the historical ones.
Yeah, these are all historical. They're all on
Which
sale.
are good.
Yeah, no, they're good. I was just interested in the
all
Warhammer
the
one.
samurai.
Ooh, some of these
$7.50.
are some of these Total Wars are 75% off. There's Rome Total War. I've played that. That's a fun game. Empire Divided. Sort of related to this. Frank, I took your advice and I went back and I listened to more of Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Yep.
And I won't get totally into that, but I listened to it with a different ear and I listened to some of his more recent stuff. And now I understand the characters in Total War better because he talks about them. But
There you go.
up to 75% off. You can get some good games.
Yeah, those are pretty much all very good.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the-
If all not too similar, like I wouldn't buy them all because it seems redundant.
I mean, if you really like,
If you like the history aspect of it,
Yeah.
you might get something out of that.
if you've played a few of them and you liked them and want to play more, there you go.
What is Dark Devotion?
We were, but let's find
It
out.
sounds like a romance novel.
It is explore the secrets of a mysterious fallen temple and put your Templar faith to the test in Dark Devotion,
Oh boy.
where no sacrifice is too great in praise of your God. Okay, it doesn't tell us anything. Came out this year. Not very many reviews.
Female protagonist. That's all I need. I'm a modern feminist.
Is one of the Steam tags really Souls-like?
Yes.
As in Dark Souls-like?
Apparently,
Or it just has anything to do with souls.
we'll see about that.
Pixel
Fucking
graphics.
looks like a menu sim.
Steam's incredible video playback protocols are at their best today by not doing anything. It looks like it's a side scroller. God, this video
Oh
is not
my
helpful
goodness,
at all.
yes.
Right.
Oh, it looks like a Metroidvania.
Or yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know where you get Souls like from. I guess it's probably
Oh my
very
God.
hard.
'Cause
Certainly
it's
graphic.
the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If
okay,
you're into
alright.
that sort of thing,
Dungeon stuff.
What's the
That
price?
could be
$10
fun.
hairs?
$10 hairs. And not a thread
Not
more.
really feeling that for $10, but
What's star docking?
Publisher weekend.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
whole
lot
thing.
of games. None of them look
Galactic
particularly-
Civilization.
Dark Control Origins.
Oh, this is Off-World Trading Company, the
Off-World
company that made that.
Trading
That was a decent game. I would hesitate to call it good.
It's worth it. Wait, what's this gold bundle? Does it make the game what we want it to be?
I'm sure it
Or
adds a lot of
escalation,
extra
or no?
crap.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
we'll have
it's
to
still
check
$30
this out.
though.
Fuck my balls.
yeah.
At 62%
What
off.
did we buy for? Like $6 or $7? Yeah, it was kind of worth it at that price, but
Yeah, so there you go.
Next.
DayZ, $31.49.
pretty
What is
good.
Wreckfest?
Oh, Cuphead.
Cuphead, $16. Finally, that's coming down. Wreckfest looks like a demolition derby. Let's have a look.
Oh boy.
You nailed it. It's Demolition Derbo.
Thank you, Steam.
It's
That's
live broadcast auto
great.
thing.
It's just what I
Oh,
want to
cool.
eat up my bandwidth. Wreckfest is a demolition derby themed racing game with soft body damage modeling, sophisticated driving dynamics, and in-depth vehicle upgrading, featuring both demolition derbies and more traditional track races. It's all about fun, breakneck racing, and over-the-top crashes. I think I've seen various YouTubers play some of this, and it looks extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
That guy looked like he was in a
I mean,
jazzy
let's
going
get away
50.
from the cinematic bullshit. I want to see gameplay. Price while we're waiting is $15.99.
Nope.
And it's like 60% off, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
maybe in a
it's
bit when it comes
A
down.
little over a year old. It looks pretty sharp. If you like racing games in general and want something different, this looks like it could
And
be your
You
ticket.
like to smash?
You trying to smash, bruh?
Down to smash.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks fun, but I don't know if it'll get my wallet open today.
Breakfast.
That was my go-to move in college, was just to walk up to people. So you trying to smash?
Just ask them.
Yeah.
Sure, it
Smash?
worked, what, like 20% of the time?
20% of the time, it worked 100% of the time.
That's
There
what
you
my
go.
roommates and I used to say to each other when we wanted to play the original Smash Bros.
You try to
Bro, you trying to
smash.
smash? And like we didn't. If you were from outside of the house, you just thought we were all gay.
I'm sure that was not a unique situation. Total War 3 Kingdoms, Total War Rome 2, these are duplicates.
Yeah, these are just
Thrones
breaking
of
it down.
Britannia, a Total War Saga, yet another from that developer thing.
Yeah, I think that's all we got.
Some other publisher sale. Looks like they make cheaper games. Let's see.
Gandalf.
Terraforming Mars. Interesting concept.
Gloomhaven.
Never heard of it.
Gloomhaven's up there.
The Lord
Is it
of
on
the
sale?
Rings something.
Yeah, Gloomhaven. Scroll up.
Adventure card. There's a Lord of the Rings card game.
Yeah, Gloomhaven is now
Ooh.
on Steam.
Man, that board game's dope. I might get this game just to know how to properly play the fucking board game because we interpret a lot of the rules and we're like, it's like playing Magic the Gathering online, right? Like you're like, oh, this is how this is supposed to work.
Looks like a lot of little titles, real cheap games. Who knows?
What is the game Gloom? Scroll up a bit right there.
I don't know. There's a fucking clown there. That doesn't look good.
Digital edition. Inauspicious incidents and grave consequences.
Make your family as miserable as possible.
Wow. All right, so that completes the special offers. I did want to save a little bit of time for the big dumb banner ad. It looks like Wreckfest was part of it, but Publisher Weekend THQ Nordic up to 90% off. Let's see. THQ has been around for a hot minute. I really like these automatic live streams. They don't eat up my bandwidth at all. We already looked at Wreckfest. Let's see. Rebel Cops, Spellforce,
pretty
Soul
tight.
Harvest. Lots of
Looks
stuff
cool.
I've never seen.
Dude, Monster Jam, Steel Titans.
Oh my God, monster trucks. Bill, this is why I think I heard your erection.
Yeah. This is one of those games. If I was still a Billy Booze bag, I mean, I'd be playing it right now.
Darksiders is supposed to be pretty good.
I've played a bit of the first game, and the third game just came out recently to great reception, as I understand it. So that's a franchise to look into. It's like character action, a la
Yeah.
God of War.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
that's set. Wait, it's the whole franchise. So 80% off, 79% off, 28.23. That's pretty good fucking deal from what I've read. Right next to it is Elex. That's something I think we've kept our eye on, talked about. It looks pretty neat in its gameplay, and that's finally try a new franchise cheap at $16.49. And then This Is the Police too. Caught my attention the other day. There's This Is the Police, which I thought was like a top-down squad manager game. I still can't interpret what the fuck is going on, but now that This Is the Police 2 is 50% off, so one of those games where if you want to get the first one, it's probably $1.
So you can be confused for $1.
The Red Faction Collection,
Who's played
the
that?
complete collection for $11.99. I've only played Red Faction Guerrilla, which was on Xbox 360.
The Mighty Joe Young.
Hang on, I have to tell them I'm not a child. But yeah, there have been a bunch of these games, and I have not played most of them. But it's rebellious, over-the-shoulder shooting on a terraforming Mars.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
And Guerrilla was fun in that all the buildings were fully destructible, and you were given like basically a big space fire axe to smash walls down with. And like explosives to and there were it was a lot of the game mechanics were written around destroying structures, but it wasn't all that engaging of a game. Besides that, you could probably get your funds worth out of just picking up someone else's save and fucking around for a bit. The story wasn't all that great, etc., and it was a little Took a very long time to get across the map, which you would think would be a good thing, except it was a barren wasteland with very little in it, which was a bit of a shame. But when you were in the occupied areas, there was lots of childish, destructive fun to have. But as for the rest of these games, I mean, I've heard good things. So there you go. You can pick up all of them for $12. Not a bad deal at all. What else we got? Anything noteworthy? Sometime this week, Steam. Here we go. Oh, now broadcasting. Here we go. I hope that's a setting I can turn off. Lots of other titles here under this publisher. Very few of which I'm familiar with. But
There was a SpongeBob
Fade
game.
to Silence. That looks like an edgelord title.
I see lots of ice and a dude with a sword and a torch. Survival.
Torch again.
Yeah, there's lots to be had here, and we do not
Are
have...
handy? Okay, so there's this category in Steam now. Handy games. Is that for fucking cell phones? Is that mobile?
I don't know.
This shit looks like mobile games.
We
Does.
do.
Or is it handy job?
Could be. But as I was saying, we don't really have time to go into very many of
We'll
these.
figure out the handy job thing later.
So let's call it,
All right.
ladies and gentlemen.
Frank, why don't you start us off since you got to fuck off?
Yeah. I've got to go DayZ. Nothing else really stood out to me.
Not much. I'm really not interested in any of these games, I think, but ironically, Chinese Parents looks hilarious.
That's what I was gonna go with because it's $6. Everything else here is, priced a little higher, and it seems like a fun game to just fuck around in.
I'm going to go This Is the Police 1 and Elex, whatever the fuck that is.
Elix has been on my wish list, but I don't know if I'm ready for it yet. And honestly, if I were gonna actually spend any money today, it might be on Wreckfest.
Wreckfest!
That sounds fucking dope.
Wreckfest!
It might just be.
All right,
There
Robot and tortured planar being have to exit this dimension. So I want to thank them and the rest of the Two Guns No Ammunition gang for joining us. I want to thank you listeners for listening. Hey, keep an eye on us. We're doing bigger and cooler and funner stuff all the time. Keep an eye out for new content. Thanks very much. And don't forget to not ever don't, but Mick twist, cock 'em, lock 'em, and then rock them, baby. Bum, 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 ba-ba-da, bum. I
bet this would keep going if no one had to interrupt him.
You're done. You're fired.